Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Fight Night Rising, brought to you by Wisdom. My name is Khroen, and joining me is Boopasaurus in the frosty winter wonderland. Absolutely love it, Boop. How you doing, and what are you looking forward to this evening?
Totally forgot this was my background, to be completely honest with you. But, some happy accidents do take place, and we're going to call it that this time. It's been good. New patch, new shenanigans, and we got a couple new players here today as well.
Yeah, we do. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and introduce the players that we do have here this evening. We have a Rat, we have Smurf Squatch, Darth Nub, Jerry Woo, a Common Quail coming back in here. We have Tay, Puddix, and Uakar to round out the lobby. A couple players that we are very familiar with. This lobby should be a good one, huh, Boop?
Yeah, I'm liking seeing people like Puddix coming back, Yukar, Common Quail, all people who've been able to get 1 or 2 weeks back, but not necessarily that third week. So this should be a pretty evenly matched lobby as well.
Yeah, I definitely think so. And some newer names as well. Hopefully, throwing their names in the competition as well. The competition to earn, next week coming back, but also some of the prize pool as well. We do have $200 total to divvy out amongst the players, 100 of which goes to first place. Second earns 50, third and fourth earn 25. And like I just mentioned, the top three do come back for next week. It is tough to come back for the 3 weeks in a row. Not a lot of players do it, but I believe we do have, who is it coming back? A Rat coming back for 4 weeks in a row. Yes, this is their fourth. So already getting past that little hurdle. Let's see how far they can go. I'm excited to see because they've really had a great past few weeks.
Super good the past few weeks. Rat playing probably the most consistently out of everyone that we've seen over the last 4 weeks, to be completely honest with you. But this lobby should be a lot more competitive. I think in general, there are a lot of similar play styles in this lobby. Like Quail and a Rat play very similarly, in my opinion. So I'm intrigued to see what's going to happen there, especially with the crest changes,
Oh, yeah.
adding a lot more flexibility in the mid to late game to kind of play the game that you want. So lots of changes. Protectors we were talking about showing up definitely in a lot of these games. But, if you look over at Keen's Twitter, there's some Enchanter Clockwork comps that seem to be doing pretty good as we start with our defending champ, Rat.
All right, here we go into game number 1. And yes, Boop, there are a ton of changes coming to this patch, 11.24. We have, some crests coming in there, and they're going to be given perhaps some gold, as well as the couple of crests you can put onto your units. No longer does it just give you 2 of things. It gives you emblems to, put on the units. Also, the hearts were changed and now give you a unit as well. Like if you get an assassin art, for example, it'll give you a talon and things like that. There are just a bunch of changes. This meta is going to be completely different, and so now is kind of the Wild West, right? Players, it's time to rediscover what is good, what is not, and we're already seeing a couple of trends, like you mentioned that kind of clockwork sniper enchanter, Tristana kind of re-roll thing. But there's other comps as well floating around. Akali has been talked about as pretty good. Protector reroll. I think even maybe some like Urgot Jinx and some challengers maybe we'll see. But it'd also be curious to see players, discover what's new and discover it first, right? It's you get ahead of the game, you're gonna have a good tournament.
Exactly. And, with a little bit more flexibility in the mid to late game, you're going to be able to do a lot more. As we do see our first crests, as you can see, they're going to be a lot more attractive because they're actually given units. So at the very least, they're going to be able to synergize right away.
Yeah.
If you find another unit within that synergy. But we've got kind of a team-oriented buff here, along with 2 crest choices, and we already do see some people picking some crests. So it does seem to be a little bit more attractive already, and getting an Echo this early is actually pretty nice.
Getting Echo would be nice. Getting a Kog'Maw actually as well, with how popular kind of that is with that reroll. Maybe it's not super popular, but we do have, at least I was watching Kyun force a bunch of Protector reroll with Kog'Maw as the carry. But it looks like it's just going to be go flexible for a Rat, going that Celestial Blessing, 20% healing, and does equal out to a shield. Buying a pair of Talons and a Katarina. It's almost like we've never left, Boop. We're back to Katarina.
The holidays are all about family and going back to familiarity sometimes, and maybe that's what's happening here, as this is looking like a potential Merc comp, but we got Clear Mind, Soft Heart, Iron Spirit. I mean, just Clear Mind. as the augment. I'll tell you about that phrase here at halftime, Khroen.
Sure.
But the common quail already having the hardest of the mercenaries to find, and we're going to get some extra XP each round, I believe. And so when the bench is clear, you're going to get some free HP, and it's going to give you some really odd numbers, but it should help you with some tempo if you're able to continue keeping your bench clear. This is something that you really like, Khroen, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. First game, or not, maybe not first game, but I played in PBE. One of my first games, clear bench, you know, clear mind as I like to call it, but just clear mind is probably the favorite game of TFT that I'd ever played, at least at that point. It did get nerfed after that. I believe it does give just 3 XP per round for free if your bench is full, but it, you know, clear bench, clear mind is, I think, is the name of it, at least colloquially known in the TFT community, for a reason, because you don't have to think about what's on your bench. You don't think about the things that you're holding. You are just playing what strongest board you can find, and then you are just leveling up, pushing levels, finding a good end game composition. It's an interesting thing to balance, but I think Common Quail is doing a decent job of it right now. Hopefully he will natural into a third mercenary and play a bit of a loss streak, because, you know, not slamming any items, this board is going to take some losses, but the XP that a Common Quail will get out of it is surely worth it.
It's going to make it so you, like, here early on, you're just not going to have to spend XP in the way that you would before. You might be taking losses here, and you might get a good amount of tier 1 units, but you potentially might hit level 8 at 4-3, for example. So that's when you're going to see this power really pop off, but getting a Quinn would actually be really nice here, as that would unlock Challenger and Merc. Definitely. So that's definitely the thing that we're looking at. A Misfortune would be nice, but Quinn's definitely the unit that we're looking for. See if we're able to roll into it. The answer is no, and we don't necessarily want to pick these up unless we can roll, because we need to keep our bench clear, or we can do this, right? We can just add 2 Alawies onto the field and keep it at 10 gold.
Yeah, 10 gold econ and level 5 on 2-3 before carousel. That's very nice, and, you know, it all happens thanks to the augment. Moving over to Smurf Squatch, we have a trade sector here, so free reroll every turn. That's why we got a decent amount of pairs here and already some units that are tiered up. Singe tier 2, Ziggs tier 2, 3 scrap. No 4th scrap, though. If the scrap crest was there, it would have given an echo. That would have been the 4th scrap.
That would have been the 4th scrap indeed, Khroen, but unfortunately we're not going to get that value. Just one item. It's going to be the Shiv, which I still think is kind of an underutilized item just in general. Oh, yeah. Really good, you know, and statistics can be out of place, right? But the Shiv has really good stats attached to it. It is an item that kind of gets built when you're already winning a lot of the time, or already losing. But in the early game, remember things like Shredder back in the day, Warweek, which was just somehow voted the strongest comp of all time.
Did I end up winning? I actually didn't.
Yeah, Warweek, Shiv Warweek ended up winning.
Way.
Yeah, and so, you know, maybe we're getting a little bit back there, because, you know, I did play against like a triple Shiv Urgot not too long ago, and that was pretty scary. It had potential. We'll see if, you know, any of those things kind of come into play as that item gains in popularity a little bit.
That is true. Shiv, very good, especially for some Arcanist-based compositions. Hasn't really been that much talk about Arcanist, at least in places that I've been looking, but perhaps we will see some players experiment with that today. I do think that people just forget about set 1, the locket stacking. That was so insanely broken, and like, oh my god, yeah, you know.
There were some set 1 things that were just like like, I remember there was a point where you could just literally build anything on Gnar. Do you remember that? Like, it was like the phrase was just put it on Gnar. If you didn't know what to do, just put it on Gnar. He'll use all the items well. Yeah. But it was a really well-made unit, so it was fine. The blue buff now going on to Ezreal. What does this kind of tell you?
Well, the blue buff was buffed a little bit. I believe it gives another extra 20 starting mana. That could just be for a Kali. You know, you can play an Innovator, try to push late game, then pivot. There also are Malzahars on the bench, so we could be going that direction as well. The bench kind of says a lot about what our player wants to pivot into. So holding all of these at the cost of sacrificing econ definitely leans me towards at least the Malzahar in the mid game.
Okay, yeah, Malzahars with those mutants seems to still remain quite popular. Hextech Gunblade on Malzahar is still pretty good. But this was going to be a Zephyr, which is a little bit of a low roll this early, but we're at least, I think, going to lose.
Ziggs.
Oh, we win because of the Ziggs ultimate hitting overtime, so we kind of take a round there. Smurf Squatch going to keep it going, as Pudex will be the next ride-along here. And we're at an okay position. No one really fallen out at this point in time. 74 is moderately low, but seeing the comp that Quail was playing at the time, you kind of expect it, as we're seeing some Yordles here. Vex still very, very tanky, but very much nerfed.
Yeah.
Still very, very good tank, though.
Definitely a decent front line, and actually Putix has the opportunity to run 3 Syndicate, but wants to keep making Econ instead. It looks like there's 3 Yordles on the board, no 6 slot yet for that Zyra to go on in. And this is a board that's like okay, right? Darius 2 is decent front line. A TF with Morelos is a fantastic early game carry, like we've talked about so many times before. And it'd be nice if Putix can kill a couple of units here and go on a nice 3 loss streak before the neutrals. Probably won't kill anything. Yeah, the Darius does not get another spin-off in time. Heimer barely not going to kill the Poppy. Okay, the loss was pretty rough there, but it's okay. At least maintaining the loss streak, I think, is the most important thing there, as 80 HP is very, very nice to go into Krogs with. Common Quill, on the other hand, maybe not looking too hot. Hopefully it's a full loss streak, though, so you can recover at least economically.
And I did see that there were 3 mercs on their board, as we have a bunch of Ziggs in the pack right now. And, you know, why not take the tier 2 Ziggs? It's going to make you stronger, and probably would have taken a unit down, as we're hovering over the Kog'Maw too. But this is always like a really intriguing place to see how people work it. Is there is a direction, but it puts us below eco. And if we don't hit in the next pack, then the direction is 8th place a lot of the time. So
Yeah.
we're just going to be a little bit more patient here and go with what happens after Krugs, because we'll just have more context and information.
Ah, another belt. We can make double Morellos. Just kidding. That is obviously not the thing to do. Does get dropped a Heimerdinger, but still has 3 Yordles now with the Poppy instead. Blue buff would be a decent slam. Putix does do it. Also, apparently, I missed it, but admins in the back end are notifying that Darth Nub actually did go to level 6 on 2.5 because, you know, another clear mind player and wants to make sure to push that advantage. Wasn't able to streak with it. Actually, a Rat is our only full win streak player up until the Krugs. But Putix finding a Braum here on 3-1 is very, very nice. Gives Syndicate and Bodyguard.
Yep, and an opportunity for double I'm just kidding. We're going to go ahead and put the belt on the Braum. So I saw a really cool tech earlier where someone put a Manamuna on Braum, one of the Ornn items, and stun locked me the whole time. It was pretty cool, because I know Mort did mention in his little like YouTube brief on the patch that some of these ideas coming for blue buff and some of these mana items are actually for tanks. So we'll see if we're actually ever going to see that move over. Is it going to be use your Nikos for 3 gold status, or is it going to be something that, you know, people legitimately take? Because there's also that new Arcanist augment, which increases the auto attack right after, which just screams Tristana to me, and that's something else that I want to see at some point. But we're looking over at Putix, who hasn't won in about 4 rounds, but we're actually managing our HP pretty well. Because they're moving on over to Darth Nub, who's at level 6. We're going to hit level 8 real early, probably, as we're already halfway through level 6, and that's almost just passive XP from the augment.
Definitely, and the board is actually okay as well. I mean, Cho'Gath 2, this is a recently buffed Frozen Heart. I believe it went from 25% attack speed slow to 35%. Yeah, that's a pretty sizable change. One of the Malzahars is just bait in the corners, gets hooked by this Blitzcrank, but Malzahar with the Jeweled Gauntlet is the one that remains back there. Might not be enough, but we'll see. Maybe this Cho'Gath will be able to eat some units. There goes one. The Malzahar is spreading. Not quite going to be enough. It is a good loss, though. Only one unit.
Just by 1 unit, we're going to get that XP, right? So that's going to be worth it. Just all that gold we're not spending on units right now, we should be saving for a little bit later, as we have armor plating, bruiser crest, and makeshift armor. And that's a quick snap for armor plating. Yeah,
okay, that's interesting. It might be a committal to this mutant, and then you run Scion for the second Colossus. As a frontline, underdogs would be nice to synergize with that, right? If you have
newly buffed Scion.
Yeah, true, newly buffed Scion. See if he's gonna make his way in here, or when he'll make his way in here, I suppose. Ooh, would have to sell one of the units on the bench, to fit that Terrican. Probably was just checking to see where the Socialite Hex was. A good play there by Darth Nub, but not going to keep that unit around. And there is a Protector reroll player. We do see a Protector Graves.
Protector Graves ruined my life. Literally the game before I came down here today. That was not something I wanted to experience in that moment. It's good. It's a really good Protector Graves, especially early on, especially since you can splash Academy with them too, so you can kind of compensate for some of the lack of power, so you can take some of the pressure off of your little Pogma there in the back line. The Blitzcrank hooks are pretty inconsequential at this level. A lot of the time people are just used to it as the CC coming through from the Bruisers, but this is all Cho'Gath all the time, keeping that Malzahar into the back line okay, but the Poppy being able to take one eat, the next one's not going to be as lucky as once this Cho'Gath gets to an ult, we should get at least one stack, but one stack for the Cho'Gath on this round is actually not that good. We're at round 3-3. We're going to continue marching on towards some XP for free. We should be hitting level 7 here pretty soon.
Yeah, definitely. There is a Scion on this carousel. It does have a bow there, and it would be awkward to fit in, of course, with that clear mind in mind, for lack of a better term.
Nice.
Yeah, I was trying to be like, how can I salvage this? And it just wasn't happening. So
even
you just gotta reuse words.
Even you can prevent forest fires. That's what all you have to say when you mess up anything.
Yeah,
just give advice that's completely unrelated to gaming. Only you can prevent forest fires, Scion. Anyway, go ahead, Khroen.
No, I mean that's about that one. It was doomed. I was hoping you'd save me, which you kind of did. So thanks.
Yeah, by throwing you under the bus.
Yeah, it happens. Now we can fit the
That's what real friends do.
True.
All right, Jeweled Gauntlet for the Malzahar is going to be nice, and we still do have an extra pair. Sometimes I've seen players kind of forget, and the second version of something will like camouflage itself. It's kind of like how the human brain doesn't need words to be spelled correctly to read.
Yeah.
Right, kind of just fills in everything for you, and since you run it a couple rounds, you're like, oh, okay, maybe it's not supposed to be there, maybe we're doing it on purpose. But this one, again, is just to get to level 7 as quick as possible, which we're already pretty fast. And at 32 gold, we should be about a third of the way there by the time we hit 4-1. And it's kind of like, hey, what are we going to hit level 8? And it's going to be when we pick up a Scion, probably.
True. Ooh, a Common Quail actually had a Tahm Kench, I believe I just saw already, and this might be the cash out. A Common Quail, if the Gangplank getting their ultimate off, okay, it didn't, but it might not matter. There's still MF and Kog'Maw in the back line, takes out the Cho'Gath. That is going to be some mercenary cash outs. I'll have to check in with Common Quail soon to see what that does give. Right now, all right. Oh,
okay, good amount of money.
A lot of gold. Ooh, okay. I mean, not great overall. It does recover the economy, but like no things like Nico's help. The Tahm Kench is certainly nice to start farming up some extra components or some gold, so that a Common Quail can go a fast 8, probably on 4-2. Actually, definitely on 4-2. I don't think he can do it on 4-1, but then Spike from there is up against Jerry Wu, who is that reroll protector player. Graves 3 is here with the protector emblem, but it's not going to do a lot of damage right now. It's actually getting okay. A couple casts will be outputting enough damage, but it will lose though nonetheless.
It does look like that's going to be the case. We might get a little bit of extra something here. Oh, barely doesn't get the extra gold or component there for the Tahm Kench. These gloves of Tahm Kench I love. Actually does really well with AP items as well, so you're not really going to be bonking on a ton unless you kind of roll Deathblade or something like that. And even that's not awful for someone like Tahm Kench. We're holding snipers on the board probably for a future Enforcer. But this is going to be that reroll protector with the Graves, which is going to give him a lot of utility. I mean, like, there's nothing more frustrating than slapping someone as close as the hex next to you and not being able to do any damage.
Yeah, this comp is a little bit awkward because you might have to make some sacrifices in units because you will get, I guess, bench locked. You'll have to choose, oh, what do I want to sell? Do I have to sell my Caitlyn's off? Do I not go for T3 Blitz? Because you only have so much bench space to find 4 or 5 units, right, that you all want to be tier 3. And yeah, we're going to have to make decisions. There's a Kassadin, there's a Garen, has to sell one of the Caitlyn's. Really needs to hit this Kassadin to free up bench space and does hit it. That's absolutely massive. Didn't have to sacrifice that many units for it. And actually just goes 6 from here. Says that's good enough. So far away from the Garen, kind of far away from the Caitlyn as well. So we're just going to go 6 and hopefully hit the Kog'Maw 3 soon. And we have 3 really good items in the Kassadin. So that tank is going to be really, really powerful right now.
So I think in terms of, if you're just going general tank, I would consider that best in slot for most tanks.
Yeah.
You have the crit reduction, you've got damage and armor, and then you've got extra health to utilize those extra stats. And so we have IE Jeweled Gauntlet, Last Whisper on the Yone here,
Okay.
something you don't really see all that often, but the crits are going to be for real there. Oh, and Khroen, there's that Protector Graves actually going to win the potentially win the 1v1 against Yone.
Yes.
There we go, wins the 1v1. We might actually win out the round here. No ult from Samir. Oh, she does get the ult off, but again, Protector Graves pretty good.
Pretty good. It's kind of deceptive. As soon as you think that those protector units are going down, they cast and oh well, that's a bunch of shielding going their way. Almost like half the HP bar there for 4 protectors. Pretty nice, pretty nice. Yone 1 though did more damage than I thought he would. I thought that Kog'Maw would be able to take him out, but was not the case. 2 Kog'Maws away, and also all of a sudden finding a couple more Garens, 2 Garens away. Jerry Woo, they're low in HP, but this is what this comp kind of does. It gets low HP and then power spikes and doesn't lose any other rounds.
There's always one of these.
Yep.
Right. There's always one of these comps that is supposed to, it's usually assassins. But in this version, it's going to be the protectors. And I believe Graves' blind is like 5 seconds long at tier 3. It's pretty gnarly.
It's really bad.
Yeah, it's 1,002, 1,003, 1,004. Yeah, it's like 4 seconds. 3 to 4 seconds. It's really long. I think the longest CC is Scion's through 4 seconds on tier 2. When it comes to the knock-up, and Galio has a pretty long one. But in the end, no damage to that Graves. No other items other than the Protector stat. Crest, sorry.
Yeah, I gotta get used to it. All these changes, like Fawn is Tactician's Crown now. They're changing the hearts to crests. I'm
scared of change, Khroen.
I know. Mort Dog's just trying to make our life so hard.
Oh, 1 cog away, 50 gold.
Definitely roll down now, and yes, does hit it, and just 12 more gold. Feels good. Jerry Woo now just pushing levels already for that mutant. Don't actually quite know what the mutant buff is on this game. Maybe we can get some confirmation a bit later, but regardless, it's going to be valuable enough for Jerry to push levels with it right now.
Yep. So what's actually really crazy about that, and how lucky we are to hit, is we hit and what you said, 12, 16 gold, right? If we spent an extra 10 gold, we don't hit level 7 here. We're incredibly much further behind because of that. It's going to be the Galio to go along with the Cho'Gath for Darth Nub. Yep. But look at this Kassadin. Okay. Not many things are going to be doing that damage to it. And the ult from Kassadin makes you do less damage to Kassadin. So not only are you kind of perfectly set up to be a frontliner, you're going to neuter their frontline too, depending on positioning.
Definitely. And from that fight, we did see that it was the execute from the mutants. They'll be executing the enemies, and then I don't think we're going to get up to 5 for Jerry Woo. Having re-rolled all this gold, I mean, theoretically, Jerry Woo could be winning every round, right? Econ back up, and once we reach maybe like 2 or 3 players left, then push to level 9. So that potential is there. Uakar, Ford Challenger, does have the knife's edge, so we'll be getting more AD if you're in the first couple of rows. Or Challenger, not bad. No Academy, though. And only Yone 1.
We've got good Fiora items on Yone right now. So Fiora did just get buffed for AD items. That was something that Mort specifically said. As we're going to move in the Jace, the frontline Jace recently nerfed. Backline Jace buffed.
Yep.
But this is probably just going to be your good old frontlining Jace. We have the upgrade and Celestial Blessing, so that Jace is going to be doing just fine when it comes to the shielding. It's not going to be as tanky, but it shouldn't feel that different, as it's going to be the tier 1 Lissandra in the Socialite Hex.
Yeah, Socialite Hex is not great for this board because it does have Knife's Edge. Lissandra does get, an ulti off, though. She's going to be doing a little bit of damage at least. Really, I think the burden is on the Yone to, at tier 1, dodge all the damage and does from that Victor ult, and still is able to heal back up and get the rest of this board killed from Surf Squatch there. So Yukar, definitely thankful for that fight, because not all these fights will be going their way with how kind of hit or miss this board really is.
Kassadin casually 1v4ing.
Yep.
We'll see if this survives overtime, but execute is going to make that a lot easier, as it's going to be pretty tough, and since we do have the execute, one more ult should be good, as Kassadin is going to finish off the 1v4. No problem. Jerry Woo on fire. Thank goodness again it was just 16, as we get Prismatic. Imperial Crown. Knife's Edge 3 and level up. So you can actually stack up the Knife's Edge there.
Yeah.
Or you can try that level up, but we don't have any gold, so no, this was the good choice. We're going to go ahead and stack it.
That's a good choice. That is a ton of AD, and now we have an Urgot to wield all these items as well. No tier 1 Yone that we have to pray this doesn't get hit by some random stuff. Twin shot in there. Yukar was ready for this pivot. It is here. Mundo already being tier 2'd in the front line. I like what we're seeing. This is a nice little Urgot corner as well. It's kind of the old Vel'Koz corner, back when he was a Void unit. But I think it serves definitely Urgot decently well.
Yeah, Urgot was having a little bit of a hard time. Chemtech's got a little bit of love. Not a little bit, they actually got a good amount of love for Chemtech 5. But we're moving over the JG onto the Urgot, so well, I mean, we're just making sure these crits land at this point. JG probably helps the Urgot. We probably don't put it on for no reason.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to synergize a little bit. It gives a bit of AP scaling as well, which I guess you can't count out. You don't really need a healing item either, just because we have Celestial Blessing 2. If it was Celestial Blessing 1, it might be a little bit fake, but no, 2 is good enough. But Darth Nub on the other side of this board does have a Galio 2 with Mutant and Arcanist. That is a lot of traits on that big boy.
Yeah, beefy boys in the front line, and dressed to impress as well. Yeah. So you know, you get some classy beef there here at Fight Night round 4-7, which is going to be either the most disappointing round for you all game or the most important. But we already have a lot of items on this bench. Yes, one is a Thieves' Gloves, but 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. We already have 12 components, so we might not get much more here. We could get gold, we could get units, and if we get lucky and get a Nikos, that'd be huge for that Kaisa too.
Kaisa 2 potential. Already playing 5 Syndicates does make me think that this might want to be just an Akali pivot and have the Katarina swap over to being an Akali.
Ooh, gets a good amount of items.
Yeah, some gold as well, but we're holding the Kaisas for a reason, and okay, just natural into the Kaisa 2, why don't we? Is this gonna be? Yeah, okay. Here we go. The pivot is occurring. What do we do with these Syndicates, right? Because Kaisa is gonna be our strongest unit now on the board. Pivoting, have to probably pivot into at least 3 Mutant, right? Because the execute on this Kaisa is going to be valuable.
We're a little dizzy, my friends.
Yeah.
We're usually Rat is a little bit more intentional here. We're didn't make it to the beginning of the round item wise. Yeah, they can put on a lot of items at this point in time. But for example, that Archangels is 2 seconds behind, so it's going to be 6 seconds before we get anything from it. We still have IEs on the bench, so this was already kind of a throw round for Rat. It's the next round that's going to be much more consequential.
Yeah, there's a Jin 2 on the bench. Didn't really know what unit to put in, and this round might actually be a win anyway, just because, you know, Kaisa 2, pretty good unit. As soon as she gets her next cast off, she does take down the Sheikah, which she should. Yeah,
ooh,
Yuumi detaches,
gets a little too
both.
soon.
A little 2-for-1 deal there. But now Rat has more decisions to make. How do you put this Jin in? What items do you want? It's probably going to be IE, Guardian's Angel, and Banshee's Claw. That would be nice to put on the Kaisa and the Jin, although Jin does want to be backline, so might not be able to protect both of these carries the way that a Rat would like.
And the Bodyguard Crest kind of stealing a spot on the Kaisa at the moment, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It will taunt someone into her, which could be risky, but at the end of the day, you know, we're on at the Socialite Square Hex, and that's already a pretty vulnerable Hex in general. So it's giving us that opportunity to get the buff and then use it and not necessarily completely waste that Hex, as we have another Urgot player, this time Common Quail, who was running Mercs, and this is what it turned into.
Running Mercs now is going to be an Urgot 2 with some decent items. Still has that Tahm Kench TG. It does get one eat off, but will it result in a kill? Yeah, it does. So some gold going Common Quail's way. Kaisa's still alive. Ooh. Oh, she gets the cast off. Wow, if that got like interrupted or she got thrown into the
that was a 2 patches ago. Yeah, I don't think that actually goes off. She did have GA still, so we probably are fine.
That's true.
But made it a little bit more interesting is this Cho'Gath has gotten some.
Oh my.
Done. Yeah, we're going to see him on July 4th at the Coney Island hot dog eating contest, probably with Galio cheering him on from the sidelines, as any good partner would.
Yeah,
but
I feel like Cho'Gath would probably win most eating contests.
Yeah.
Out of all the league champions.
Oh, for sure. Other than him and Tom Kench, you know,
Yeah,
those are the
Tom
two.
Kench might contest, but
Yeah. And so, you know, and we can still get stacks from this Cho'Gath, and each additional HP stack is just going to give you another opportunity to execute someone with that ultimate. We got to get to that point, and there's just not enough damage fast enough right now for the Cho'Gath. Thank goodness for Malzahar, because that could have been really bad. But Jerry, not really doing a lot of losing. I think losing one round so far since we saw them re-roll not too long ago, already at level 8.
Yeah, they did get to 8. 9 is still a ways away. They were at 30 HP, so when they lost a round, it wasn't by that much. Now we have a carousel full of pretty much all emblems. There is a Zephyr, there is a Guardian's Angel. Yukar grabs Enforcer Jinx, 1 HP. Smurf Squatch is 2 HP, so we will definitely be seeing some eliminations shortly. Especially if players like Darth Nub hit their tier 3 units. Cho'Gath is only 1 away. Malzahar a bit further away, still needing 3 more. But that Arcanist Soul, though, is going to be really, really nice. Gives a lot more damage, not only to Malzahar and the Arcanists, but also the Cho'Gath as well, and does get that Cho'Gath 3. Arcanist pops off, and we get to maybe go for 6 Arcanist? I wonder. Or just take the Victor out and keep it 4. Alright.
Adding some help protector-wise as well. Actually, we're going to just have the Arcanist, Arcane...
Arcanist
on the board instead. We're going to go ahead and sell the Blitzcrank. Okay. Ooh, I like that. Put the Blitzcrank in, kind of trick people to reposition and actually put your real carry in. We don't need the extra Arcanist spat right now, so we're just going to keep it there. And once we hit level 9, if that is a possibility, or when we put in another kind of unit that's going to definitely land on somebody. We got rid of the Akali already, and Cho'Gath. The difference between Cho'Gath 2 and Cho'Gath 3 is pretty gnarly in terms of win rate, I believe. So look at just how much easier it was this round versus the last round against a team comp that's not necessarily awful, but Yukar is going to fall with the JGIE Urgot there. Not, unfortunately, no innovation, just in 8th place.
8th place. Unfortunate there. Did expect some nice play out of Yukar, right? We've seen them in the past having some decent success, but it is, you know, day 2 of a new patch, and anything goes. A common quail has reached level 9. Clear Mind certainly made it a lot easier to get to this point. Mudo 2 now going in. A lot of nice synergies. 5 Chemtech, 4 Bruisers. Chemtech was changed a sizable amount, right? I believe it's always going to be 8 seconds, but the amount of attack speed and healing you get will change. Tom Kench 2. Certainly going to be giving Common Quail a lot of value here as well, but can it stand to this tier 3 Cho'Gath?
We'll see, and because the Tom Kench isn't going to be able to swallow the Cho'Gath, it's just going to do true damage, if that is going to be the case, as this version of Urgot is like day 1 patch best in slot Urgot is what it kind of looks like. You got the GA, which I think is another kind of underutilized item at the moment, and it seems like the Cho'Gath is gonna be okay for now. It's actually gonna get weaker as less units are on the field because of the Gargoyle Stone Plate. As you can see, it actually took more damage when someone did fall from Quail's board.
Yeah, that is true, right? Just kind of fodder units giving it more stats because they're targeting the Cho'Gath there. Not great. Smurf Squatch does end up falling in 7th place, and now we have a triple item dragon. Some alright items here, actually. Zephyr is always good at this point in the game. We could use the RFC for the Jinx. Shojin could be decent on that Lysandra as well, right? She now has Morello's, so she's going to be applying that more often. Just getting more casts off is nice for CC potential. This is overall okay for Common Quail. No real dead items here.
Okay. So we, especially with anytime you get a Zephyr in general, just that item on its own is good, but you're going to get some change with it this time around too. Is we're hitting level 9 across the board pretty much. It's going to be Trap Claw Morello's for this board at least, and it looks like we had a Merc crest at some point there on the. We had a Merc comp at some point during this round, but it's going to be double Trap Claw. Trap Claws do stack, friends, so don't worry about that, as we are going to force in Mercenary at 6-1. Maybe we're just trying to get this the completion percentage there for the synergies on the side, but we're really going to see how good this Fiora is now, especially against this particular team comp, as the true damage from the Fiora should be okay against this particular comp. Items, though, not the best. Redemption, not going to help.
Yeah, that Alawi actually did give 2 synergies. Gave Merc and Bruiser, which is nice because Stay United is going to be the prismatic augment choice for a rat. So that actually does give a decent amount of value. I think it was buffed, so that's 10 extra AD and AP. And will it be the difference in this round?
GA.
It actually will be. Yeah, GA on the Kai'Sa. Very nice. Love that play by a rat. That's why a rat has been the Fight Night Rising victor the past 2 weeks in a row. First week got 3rd place, back-to-back first. Rat trying to make it happen again, or at least go off to a strong start. Nice identification. And then actually even with this as well, splitting the Banshee's claws up, because while they will stack for the amount that you can block for spell damage, you can only, you won't be able to block like multiple spells. Like as soon as one spell hits, then it's going to be gone. So giving that to the Kai'Sa as well, with that GA, just giving that Kai'Sa much more chance to carry the fight, which she has been for the past few rounds.
Wow, that is a tanky frontline unit there with the double Warmogs and the Gargoyle Stone Plate. That's usually going to be a pretty good go of it, but because there's no inherent actual defensives there, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. But double Archangel's Akali, you're going to see exactly why people are so frustrated at that unit. But no! Old school Ultimate Fiora is going to win it out. There was also the Kai'Sa still on the board, but man, it seems like it's pretty hard to actually focus in on anyone on that particular board as Jerry Wu falls into 4th place. That was a very hard fought 4th place, as we were at level 5 at round 4-1.
Yeah, definitely. That was almost like an old school, like season 1, League of Legends 1v1 there between Akali and Fiora in the top lane.
And then Fiora you pressed R.
Yeah,
and
you
blade danced.
Yep. Yeah, there's no shroud available, and you're gone. But no, we have all of a sudden got to our top 4. Tay did take 6th, Darth Nub in 5th. Jerry with that re-roll protector composition did make top 4. A common Quail as 1 win streaked all the way here. But this Akali, I mean, 4 socialites even. Too bad it's not a 4 socialite buff, because all the socialites are in here having a party. Even Janna is one as well.
Nice effort on the Akali. Already half health before the game starts. The longer this round goes, the stronger that Akali gets. A GA on that Akali too. Lots of GAs so far, but not enough damage here. She might be able to get 1 or 2 units, gets eaten, and is going to fall.
Tom Kench said, nope, just gonna eat.
You look tasty today. I feel like Tom Kench and Honeybuzz probably have some fun together at their restaurants. But 7 HP, 1532. This isn't going to be going on for much longer. Rat, I think, in the driver's seat. But I'm not sure if we can actually take Common Quail's comp. It's going to be like Kai'Sa versus Tom Kench there, depending on who he eats. Socialite bonus going to be on Akali. We got a pretty good roll for Seraphine there, so we could be getting some heals as well as some good AoE damage.
Ooh, Salvageman actually being able to sell this Arcanist emblem for, I mean, it could be Challenger, it could be just a Shiv on the Janna, but she does have... oh, no, actually, she doesn't have Scrap in right now. Galio 2, big. Tarek 1, less so, but still decent.
Yep, and it's 2 Tareks on the board now. We have 9 HP, so you can thank Metabolic for that one. That's probably a lot of pretty much strictly HP that we saved in the early game because of that particular augment, but this is not even close. This is a repeat of the round last time. Yeah, unless Akali is that broken. As we have our top 2.
Top 2. We're going to be seeing Kai'Sa versus, well, a lot of units that are very strong, right? This Jinx has 3 items. The RC did go on her. This is a fully kitted out Urgot, Tom Kench, Lysandra. And Tom Kench has been farming components for a couple of stages now. I really don't see how a Common Quail is going to lose this, but, I mean, crazier things have happened, Boop. Kai'Sa really can 1v9. There is a Jhin there as well to be dealing some damage, so maybe not all hope is lost for A-Rat.
Fiora gets a really quick ult off. Ionic Spark on Fiora is alright, but now we really need the Kai'Sa to avoid getting focused. The GA is going to help with that, but we need everyone else to survive, and that's not close at all.
No.
I'm not even sure we can even get items to help us out there, as Quail is going to match a lot of those items, as we get some good benefit just in general with the Locket, as this team comp just gets even stronger now, and we get to use some unfortunate rolls there for the Thief's Gloves. That's not bad, actually, Blue Buff Morello's. Get a potentially better role for the next round.
Yeah, definitely. A common Quail, Zephyr is going to be on the Socialite Hex, or at least where it will be on a Rat's board. So this is one of those cases where I don't think a Rat needs to, or should be, baited into running that Kai'Sa on that particular Hex. You can move it. Minus 20% damage is fine as long as you're dodging the Zephyr. Really
you might end up doing more damage.
Yeah, you will be doing more damage, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, an extra ult is going to be a lot more valuable than stats at the end of the day, especially at this point in time when these rounds can actually go pretty quickly, and you need that Kai'Sa to get to that third or fourth ult, because when you're getting to that third or fourth ult, then it's pretty much round is in your favor. But we're just going to go ahead and stick to Zephyr in the Socialite Hex, and we'll see if Kai'Sa is going to be living there. And it does look like it. So Kai'Sa is going to be... Oh, it's actually going to be the Tom Kench, so we did get a little bit of bait there. And a good ultimate to start from the Kai'Sa. This is how it looks if the Kai'Sa is going to win this round.
Rice needs to be casting more times, needs to get into the opposite corner, does get a cast off. This is a closer fight than last time. Jhin is still alive, goes to GA state. Oh!
GA!
That is the difference. Actually, a Zephyr difference, or dodging that for a Rat, as a Rat takes lobby number 1 over a common Quail. This is that late game heads up repositioning and juking that separates the good players from the great players. Love seeing a Rat do that to try to defend their title here for the 3rd week in a row and for the 4th week of coming back.
100% agree. Baited on. I mean, even you're like, that's on the Hex. No, it's not. Tom Kench is the one on the Tornado right now, as we have our scores for that first lobby. If we need a little bit of a reminder, but this is shaping up to be kind of what I thought it would be, which is Rat and Common Quail there with Puttix, who have all top 3'd before. Coming into fight night. I believe they've all top 3'd a couple times in the past, along with some of our returning players. Yukar has come back a couple weeks in a row. I remember not the greatest re-roller in the world from what I remember, but liked to play really slow and won most of those games. So yeah, we'll see if that's going to be the way to play on the next one, as we definitely saw the patch hit for us. No cat comps.
Yeah, no cat comps, even though there was a decent early game start for it, of course. Her nerfs are going to be dissuading people from going that direction, but encouraging people to go other directions, like the Akali, which I believe got into 3rd place there for Puttix. Jerry Wu with the Protector reroll got into 4th, but it was a kind of unconventional Kai'Sa bodyguard that ended up taking the lobby, right? With the Jinx being the other carry. We're thinking like, oh, okay, Kai'Sa having the bodyguard stat, she might taunt. I mean, she does have a lot of extra armor, which actually is good versus their god Jinx board, right? It's going to be mitigating a little bit of damage, but really I think GA was the real big thing there. GA was definitely what won the fight.
A couple of times. I mean, that's probably the most GAs I've seen in a TFT lobby since like the 3rd set. Like when GA mech was the way to go back in the day. So it's funny to see how that item comes in. It kind of ebbs and flows within certain metas, because even within this particular set, it's been in and out of like Yone builds for a bit. Yeah. But those GAs, pretty clutch, especially if you're able to get those ults right beforehand, a la Ahri in some previous sets.
Oh yeah, I still think Ahri is one of like the coolest units in TFT, because she didn't take an actual traditional league ability into TFT. They designed a whole new ability for her that was still thematic. It was nice, it was fun, it was created some big moments as well. I'm so excited to see what can come.
I wonder if we have Fiora's like ultimate, if we didn't have Ahri's ultimate back in the day. That was kind of like, hey, why are we locked in here? Why are we putting handcuffs on ourselves? Let's be creative, right? And now maybe because Ahri's ultimate, they were a little bit more open to get Silco. You never know.
That is true. Maybe some other ones in the future as well. We'll just have to see in time. That's why we got to keep playing and casting and watching this beautiful game called TFT, because the devs, everyone behind TFT, they do their best to make this a fun experience for everybody and keep it fresh and exciting all the time, which is exactly what this new patch I think has in store for us. We are seeing completely different meta, Boop. Some crazy comps winning it. Sure, we're back to a bit of Urgot and Jinx, but that's still okay. Those are carries that are meant to do just that. As we do get into game number 2, with perspective of a Rat, our lobby number 1 winner, starting off with a glove as well.
Yeah, Khroen, you can't have like intense, crazy comps without your vanilla to start.
Yeah, true.
Right? So
you need a bit of vanilla.
Yeah, you need a little bit of vanilla. Vanilla is the base of most ice creams, So like, even though we're getting that vanilla, I think that is going to end up being like a rainbow sherbet or sorbet, depending on how fancy you are. At the end of the day, right? So I still really want to see a Shaco comp. We didn't really quite get to see a fully fledged out Syndicate comp outside of that Akali, but the Akali didn't have like the best items in the world. So that can definitely get better, as this is going to be an opening round prismatic. This is what the patch was about, pretty much. So let's see if these are going to be enough. 2 challenger emblems that would have been awesome last patch, amazing last patch, if you will. But getting the choice to pick which challengers you get, that can actually be really nice. Challenger Graves is actually pretty good. Any Challenger Bruiser is really good too. So it's totally up to them on how they want to use it, but this is definitely a choice, as it doesn't look like a lot of people have picked their augment yet, as it's going to be nice edge.
Yeah, everyone's scouting around. You don't really need a lot of time left in the round, so you can take it to scout out, see what other players are taking, and maybe have that influence what augment you take as well. Potentially, we'll see. Do want to comment on you. I don't want to say you're saying crazy things, because I do think it could work out with those, challenger emblems on like bruisers. Cho'Gath actually comes to mind. If he gets that cybernetic, not this game. The cybernetic we do have information is, or the mutant is cybernetic. But if the mutant is like Hyperreginal Glance or extra auto attacks, AD Cho'Gath is a real thing. Like, he can carry, especially with that Challenger heart.
Kent in the patch overview, it was like, you can do Rageblade Cho'Gath, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, which I totally see in especially the extra auto attack mutant buff. But we have some good tank items here. We have a good amount of gold actually on the board with a 3-cost unit. Are we going to build that Lissandra with the red buff? Looks like it.
Yeah.
I mean, Sunfire Cave.
Wow.
We were talking about set 1. I know, seriously.
Oh, man. Yeah. Crazy. We had red buff, then blue buff, then we didn't have blue buff anymore. And, there's a bunch of changes, but keeping it fresh.
Yeah, pretty soon we're gonna have bell-bottom jeans. Capris will be back. Wallet chains might come back as well.
Wallet chains. I don't even know what
I
those
bet
are.
Silco rocked a wallet chain as like a teenager. Guarantee it.
I literally don't even know what a wallet chain is.
They were like really popular in like the early 2000s. You would like put a chain on your wallet and have it like hang out your pocket.
Oh, I googled it. I see what you're talking about. I
think you would have rocked one. You probably would have rocked one if that was like the style back when you were the appropriate age.
maybe. I kind of like that. Maybe if it comes back into style, I'll definitely consider.
Awesome. It makes you look really cool. As Darth Nub is going to be hanging out with our fellow getting wiped in the first round, but I don't see that happening in the second round, as we have 3 tier 2 units on the board.
Yeah, it's a lot of tier 2 units for the early game. Going to be having makeshift armor as well. That is a lot of stats for these frontliners, and even for the backliners. Once the frontliners go down, it might not even go down though. Against this round, not a ton of damage, but I guess there is some sustain and some healing with that Taric from Tay. Taric did get nerfed in the previous patch. He will not be healing for quite as much. Caitlyn making sure to snipe him down as well. And the third cast timer does end up taking 1. This is actually a pretty close fight.
Yeah, surprisingly, 3-cost unit, that Heimerdinger, very strong just in general. Good single target damage, even though it's technically AoE, right? Those can split off, but if they do get like the nice single target damage, especially on the triple cast a la Karma back in the day. As we move over to Tay, who has things on their wall. Thank you, man. You know how many blank walls we stare at here on Fight Night. But it's going to be Tay here, putting the Heimerdinger on the Socialite Hex along with a double Scholar, which is going to make these ults come a little bit quicker.
That is true. And yes, of course, you get brownie points in Boop's book if you do have interesting things or just an interesting background in general on your
Or a
webcam.
pet.
Or a pet,
Yeah.
or literally anything that's on a blank wall, I think Boop will look at and maybe get distracted. But
And I will call you out if you haven't made your bed. Just gonna say.
I think my chair is blocking my bed in the background, so they can't see. They can't see.
Strategery counts, you know. What I don't know doesn't hurt me.
True.
As you know, the Taric gonna keep this Poppy alive a lot longer than you would expect, especially after the nerfs. But we'll see. Oh, I don't think did Joey actually get feast off on that one?
I don't actually know.
That was a little close with the ultimate from Alawi, but this is going to be a 2-unit loss, and that's pretty good for Tay right now.
Yeah.
Especially since we actually get to do a double loss streak going in at 94 HP, and we're going to get to pick second on the carousel. That was actually almost perfect.
Yeah, kind of checking every single box there of good things when you lost streak. You make econ, you don't lose by that much because the enemy player is running a Cho'Gath, which takes 2 units. Get the item of choice? Question mark. Looks like Tay maybe didn't know exactly what they wanted, but it did end up taking a sword. That was, I believe, on a 3-cost unit, so very nicely done there. Colin Quail running a bunch of challengers right now. See where that's going to be going. Scouting out a lot of what the prismatic augments of the other players were. We did see, I believe, an item grab bag. We did see some knife's edges. Tay not slamming any items so far, and I think that's smart, right? Because maybe we want to commit to this full loss streak. There is an argument of leveling up as well, right? We've already spent some XP, so it wouldn't be that bad to just press the button once more, put a synergy in with the Echo, and maybe gets at least some scrap value, even if we aren't full slamming any components. But, okay,
we're
slamming is
full
here,
sending.
though.
Yeah, it's going to be Giant Slayer, and we might win this round now. So, hopefully we win the next round as well, but losing this round could be very nice, and it looks like there's enough damage coming in from the Talon to take down the support, and we're going to lose this round. So even though we were able to add some more damage, get those item components on, a little bit too much synergy coming in from Rat, and that tier 2 Twitch.
T2 Twitch, dealing a lot of damage. Tay did, maybe with the help of the item slams, did take down 1 unit, so the losses aren't going to be quite as bad. Still 86 HP with 3 losses is very, very good. Buttocks now contesting a Rat for full win streaking. I think a Rat was the player to full win streak last game as well up until Krogs.
Yep.
Rat playing the early game super, super well, both games consistently, and sure, that might just be good rolls, good RNG, but you gotta know how to play it as well from that spot. So impressive stuff there. Ooh, double item grab bag actually giving some decent items, actually very good ones for AP composition, and specifically for this Twisted Fate in the early game.
Yep, and no more Reforger, so you're stuck.
True.
You're stuck with it.
Yeah, I guess Reforgers were a bit OP, huh?
Yeah. Well, it's just like, it was a true mulligan. There's really nothing else in the game like that, right? Which is like, here is, if you don't like it, you get a chance. It's RNG, but, you know, you take the initial item out of the pool, which actually makes desirable items more likely, so the Reforger actually gets a lot more value than you might expect.
Twisted Fate 3 Syndicate already has healing with the Hex Tech Gunblade as well. Power of Hex Tech being utilized by all.
I am shocked this unit did not get any nerfs.
Twisted Fate?
Twisted Fate, yeah.
Wow.
He's just been such a staple for a lot of boards, and does hang on to a lot of those items. And he was getting to like round 4-1-4-2 as carry back in the day. But maybe we've gone to prom and have changed our idea. Get it, Carrie. But we might be moving on over to Shaco here soon. But these are good AP items. Those are going to be great on Akali later.
Definitely will be. I think my thoughts on the matter are that Twisted Fate, while being good, I don't think necessarily fits into that, like, the unit is too oppressive category. You might win streak out until, like, stage 4, but you might take 1 or 2 losses, and I think that's an okay, or at least acceptable risk. I do agree. I think that TF is kind of bordering the maybe too powerful category, although I can see why he didn't get nerfed.
Yeah, you know, overpower might not be like the best word. I think when a unit is too consistent, that's something that can actually sneak under the radar a little bit. Yeah. But he's a really great anchor for the early game for a lot of comps. Totally. You can kind of just put him on. If you get like a tier 2 TF and you're not kind of going a little bit of Arcanist direction, or slamming items on it, then you're doing it wrong, in my opinion.
Definitely. And yeah, if you're not leveling up to protect your win streak here, you're probably doing it wrong too at 3-1. I do like that. A rat also has leveled up, has matched the challenge, but unfortunately, neither player, or maybe fortunately, neither player has run into each other. It will be Puddix up against Darth Nub, but this Twitch trying to have Twisted Fate's number, stopping this healing coming through, and yeah, not gonna be enough damage. Level 5 board beats level 6 and actually 5-0s it? Wow. Static Shiv OP? Is that a Shiv diff?
Dude, I think Static Shiv is so good. We already talked about it. I think Frozen Heart might become a little bit of an issue a little later on. We'll see what happens there, because a 10% increase is kind of gnarly just in general for a game like this. Where we've seen like decreases, like Jinx, for example, got like a 0.01 damage decrease. Or something like that. So adding 10% means, hey, we're kind of telling you this item might be strong. Let's see where it's going to go. And it might go back onto this Cho'Gath. We had an opportunity to build it a little earlier with a tier. We could put a red buff on it too. Yukar did lose out on, he was one of the 3 on the win streak. Rat the only one surviving that round, going into 3-2 with a full win streak.
Definitely. At the very least, Yukar is getting some nice mutant value with the cybernetic enhancement. Going to be given a lot of HP and AD. Not going to be good enough, however, to stop Common Quill's challengers. Kate did snipe 1 unit at the end. A rat still full streaking for 7 rounds now. It is very interesting, I think, that nobody is very, very weak right now. The lowest is 66, and that's not really a huge outlier. Jaywu was 70 HP before that. And now we're going to just our basic kind of tier 1 augments. We have Mutant Heart, potentially, if we want to keep with this mutant train, and that will give it an extra Kog'Maw. Yeah, and it gives an extra mutant, so going to be a bit easier to get that 5 mutant online, and going to make it 1 more Kog'Maw until we hit Kog'Maw 2.
All right. Kog'Maw 2, as I like to call it. One of my favorite team comp names I've ever read, Pog'Maw. I hope one day we have enough skins, because there's some good amount of cat and dog skins.
Yeah.
Right? So maybe one day we'll get a cat and dog synergy. And it would be like, and it might be like a God King type thing, right? Where one is cat, one is dog. There's enough skins, just putting that out there. Right, please.
There is enough skins, but I think to be on the caliber of what the God Kings were supposed to be, but make that the whole theme of a TFT set, is that going too far? Is that too meme-worthy to have the TFT theme set be cat versus dog?
maybe on April 1st.
Maybe on April 1st.
I think that'd be a great Earth joke for sure. Maybe Earth actually comes into the game at some point as a little legend.
That'd be sick.
We already have kind of one Earthy type thing, I think. But again, now that Silco's here, a lot of those like side characters, like even the shopkeepers, I think could be really cool units in this game.
Yeah, there's no limit now. There could be literally anything. You could make even just things from like League lore that aren't a part of League of Legends proper as a champion. Could be in the game. I feel like we always just go into tangents of like what would be cool in TFT now that the floodgates have been opened, but I'm kind of
here for right? It. Like the devs have opened up the possibilities in our minds, right? Yeah. It's either the best or worst thing, depending on who you ask in the game dev world. But going back to this, Yukar has definitely fallen from grace here. Was at 100 HP at round 2-6, but has lost 3 in a row now. Might lose a couple more if we don't upgrade some of these units. Like, we got good units. 5 is a good unit, right? But we need it to be tier 2 in order to really push some value, especially with the Cho'Gath, because eventually, if you don't upgrade the Cho'Gath, he just doesn't really get stacks, and he just gets weaker and weaker as time goes on. We're already pretty far behind with it.
Definitely are. 3 losses in a row. The losses have been pretty brutal as well. Went over to Smurf Squatch. I was like, there's no synergies here. And then I looked and saw that it was built different.
Buffed built different.
True. See how much work it's able to do.
Yeah, we haven't really seen a ton of it so far. Built different again. Got a little bit of an upgrade, I think, on this tier. And it doesn't seem to matter to Yone and the rest of the challengers. A lot of people thought that challengers were kind of just neutered. Sorry, Warwick. For the for this particular patch, but it doesn't seem like it. It's always going to be like duelists, in my opinion. I think that's kind of like the goal, is to make it like a very strong early and mid game comp and just see how it does later.
Yeah.
And it does seem to be tracking that way currently based on the one round we saw.
One round, that's all the evidence we need. Surely.
Yep. Especially for chat knows all on first or eighth.
Definitely. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to tune into it, but I'll have to catch the VOD at some point for this previous one.
It's a good one. Australians are funny.
Definitely are, especially with that group. Oh, I can only imagine.
Yeah. So the best part is I did a little bit voice acting for a thing, and I was like, wow, such a talented voice actor. And Esha didn't, I think it was Esha, didn't know it was me. It was like, really? And I was like, oh.
Damn. You got some range then, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it was actually kind of mean, but we'll talk about it later. You know, I've already called my therapist, but just kidding. Smurf Squatch now, who had a little bit of a harder time in the first round, kind of repeating itself. I don't really see a lot of how this comp gets necessarily super strong. We've got okay items. No one's really building QSS anymore, but those as components can be very useful. You get the Dragon's Claw with the cloak maybe, and the crit glove is actually mad versatile right now. Mad versatile meaning JG or IE, but you're gonna use it for something, and it fits both in AP and AD comps, especially if you even just get a tiered, throw a Hodge in, Shroud of Stillness, all that stuff.
Yeah, Shroud, Hodge, Banshee's Claw, all actually really good glove items. Sure, the IE Dual Gauntlet might be a bit more prioritized, given, you know, it is going to be a carry item. But we'll see where it goes. We do have a Tome dropped on the Wolves here for Smurf Squatch. Also, a Talon upgrade is going to be decent. Meal 2 can find her way in right now. I think, though, with built different, you want some actual, like, raw damage to complement and not necessarily a static shiv. It was unfortunate during that last round because it did go against a 4 bodyguard board, and there's not much really right here that could deal with it. Sure, the Swain's okay. The Talon was Talon 1, so that's not going to do much. Hopefully this round, or this board, could stabilize here for Smurf Squatch. Tome, definitely unfortunate, though, given the fact that Built Different is here, because don't want to run any traits.
Oh, that's true. Oh, no.
Yeah,
that's like when you show up to a party and you're on a diet and, like, it's like the best dessert spread you've ever seen in your life.
It's like, I can't, though. It's like...
I can't. Or like when I found out I was celiac from the doctor for the second time, because I didn't know it was a real thing the first time.
Yeah.
I got tested for it again, and I was like, you know, but I'm going to see a lot of bread. And I sure did for the next rest of my life. Though it was really funny in a D&D campaign, since I was at like a feast and I said my character was gluten intolerant. That was really funny. The king was not happy.
I've never thought about playing D&D character that is gluten intolerant. But...
yeah, just like having like an annoying allergy, right? Yeah. So like maybe for some reason your character's super sneezy, right?
Sure,
and
it's
that
like one of your
affects
like
the story
flaws.
somehow.
Yeah,
exactly. You know, a lot of people think, you know, D&D, you know, they think super, you know, high fantasy, and sometimes the funniest things are, I have cavities and I can't eat. How does that affect? How does that affect things? Or I don't eat so and so. But Jerry Wu now, who has been here before, the roll down does seem like it kind of worked. We got a Gen 2 with pretty good items. I think the Giant Slayer is usually what you want after the Last Whisper IE. Hodge should be fine though, and it's going to be okay against these backline units. And this is where, you know, Jin really shines. Is exactly where we see him right now. We got that Socialite Hex, and we also have. Is that the new recruit? No. What is the arrow moving up?
That should be level up.
Okay, so that is level up, and we're hitting 20 gold now, and we just won out that round. So this is perfect right now. If you're in this position where Jerry Wu is at around, you know, 40 to 30 HP, this is kind of where you would expect it if things are kind of going well. Where you're going to stabilize, you're going to spend a little bit of gold, and hopefully you're going to win streak into your PvE round, and then hit level 8 after that.
There is no...
oh, we're already level 8, sorry.
Yeah, hit level 8. Level up can make it so that you can go level 10. Level 9 on the horizon after Jerry Wu is comfortable with his board, but does have a lot of pairs, right? We actually have 4 pairs right now between the Seraphine, Scion, Janna, and Ori. This gen is pretty good. You know, you mentioned it, no Giant Slayer, but unfortunate. I think GA would be the second most prioritized item, but Hodge maybe third after that. Looks like might be good enough to win this round, especially if Sai can get one more cast off for that CC. Very nice. Yeah, Jin can clean this one up. Jin was changed in that previous patch as well. He did go from, I think, 95 AD to 90. Then his max mana got buffed a little bit. Yeah, it went from 80 to 70 as well. Although it looks like the AD scaling on the ultimate, though, when he does actually proc that, did go down at tier 2. So a bit weaker in that regard, but does get to the ult faster.
And that's going to make the backline a lot more vulnerable to someone like Jin. You might think, oh, less damage. How is that possible? Well, the ult is going to be how you access the backline versus in previous patch where Jin could just regularly shoot the front line and then ult the backline anyway. There really wasn't a ton of drawback when things were working well. As we have a GA for the Yone here, which in my opinion is best in slot when you're running enough academies, but we're only running the 2 with the 6 challenger, and we actually had 3 Luxes in that pack.
Yeah.
Usually that is, one to pause, especially since we had a Lux on our bench. That was probably going to be another academy. We do, float by it, and we're going to go a different direction as we're going to hit 4 academy, but it's going to be some tanks potentially here as we're going to go with a little bit more support.
Yeah, couldn't quite fit the 4th academy in there, I suppose, between the having to play the Lux and the Leona. Could have dropped 2 challengers, though. I think some players have been talking about maybe 4 academy, 4 challenger is pretty decent again. Like previous patch, it was 6 challenger, you almost always go. But that might just be some theory crafting and not really any legitimate reasoning behind it. So it looks like 6 challenger is working very well here for a common quail.
Yeah, it's like this. Oh, and also, I think we saw a little bit of some changes as the challenger team didn't, you blink and it wasn't over. You actually got to see everything happen, which is pretty nice. As we can gain a Tome of Traits. If we didn't switch out our Leona, we actually could have gotten our quad academy. We do have an academy, 2 academies already on the board, so that's still a possibility. But yeah, we still Quinn 1. There's still ways for this board to get stronger, like Orianna 2, Janna 2, Fiora 2, but it's going to be, it looks like we really are thinking about the tome.
Strongly considering these options. Tome can be very good, actually, because then we can consider maybe actually running something like 8 Challenger or 4 Academy. Exiles is consistent, however. You're always going to get value out of that, and Tome can theoretically miss. And so we are going to go for consistency over the chance to high roll, and, I respect it.
Gotta respect it. Gotta give it respect. But now, respect doesn't take you to the win, and Rat still has 100 HP. So we're still either going to be here for a while, or we're going to need someone to get close to Rat, or he's going to just run away with this. Usually you don't see 100 HP. This comp can get very, very strong once you get the tier 2 units. Like once we do get tier 2 Orianna, Yuumi, for example, this comp can do some really crazy work, as the built different comps actually don't seem to be doing that amazing right now.
Yeah, it's kind of like, yeah, you're built different, but not in the good way. Built different in the built incorrectly. It looks like his Smurf Squatch's board here being on 7 HP. That Tome just sitting very lonely, very sadly on the bench because it can't get value.
Still there. That Tome's been there for a very long time. Rat did fall, so no perfect game, and that does mean the landscape of this lobby is starting to pick up in power. Dr. Mundo 2 is a great example of picking up power, and Jerry, I think, is kind of like a really great person to look at on where the bottom side of the leaderboard is, because Jerry does seem to tank and then get really strong, was able to get into the top 4 before because of it, and we're probably happy for this Reforger now that we've gotten a couple tiers and some probably not so great items. We'll see what they use it for, as Yukar is going to be running back this Cho'Gath, and we do finally get some stacks on it, as we're finally bigger too, as the Malzahar 3 might be on the table. Oh, definitely on the table. Wow. Getting 2 there. Cho'Gath 3. Are we going to hit it? One more roll? Doesn't seem like it. It kind of felt like that was going to happen once you saw the Malzahars pop up in that pack. You knew something was going to happen.
That was so many Malzahars, actually. Wow. Okay, a vest popping out, and that's gonna be a Bramble for the Cho'Gath. Big value. Kog'Maw can only be purchased if Yukar does win the round, which with that Cho'Gath 3, is probably going to happen, especially against Darth Nub's composition that hasn't really peaked out at what it wants to end the game at. Jolgalin on the Kog'Maw, gonna be okay, definitely not best in slot, but it looks like it's gonna be enough to win the round.
Yep, the Warwick at tier 3 probably actually takes down this Cho'Gath, to be honest with you. That's the type of unit that can take down the Cho'Gath. Doesn't necessarily need the crits, but will get you down as time goes on. We make it into overtime, and we barely get through halfway on that Cho'Gath, who's just going to get stronger now. So as the Cho'Gath was a little bit delayed, we do kind of catch up, it seems like, as, everyone is looking at this Cho'Gath as a potential lobby winner. Not a lot of units on the board because of the Colossi, but the overarching thing is like, hey, the Cho'Gath counts as a couple different units at this point in time. We've got damage, we've got defense, we've got tankiness, and we got it to tier 3, which is the hardest part almost.
Yeah, definitely one of the hardest parts about it. Repositioning. It's okay to have Kog'Maw alone in the corner because, Quicksilver means that Blitzcrank hook won't do anything. Has shields from exiles, so it's not even like it does any damage either. See how this composition is able to shape up against a Rat. A Rat is the player who did have double Knife's Edge, it looks like here, and extra Chemtech as well. That's a tier 2 Chemtech Tahm Kench, and if you're playing from the lead with an early Tahm Kench to farming components, you're probably going to maintain that lead. Not in this case, when you're running up against Yukar, who has power spiked very heavily, but a Rat has so much HP to work with.
We'll see, though. It seems like it's getting a little precarious. We have already won by attrition with a couple people as Tay and Smurf Squatch not able to get anything going, really, on this particular lobby. We might get a Braum 2. We do sell the Seraphine for it.
Could sell the Orianna, or to grab a Tark perhaps, but yeah, not doing that one. Wanted to make sure to hit the Orianna too. It's going to be valuable. Going against Darth Nub. Darth Nub has the Shiv Urgot. Boop, I think you were mentioning that a bit earlier. Maybe powerful. We'll see here.
Yeah, I mean, you get a lot of attack speed there. Oh my goodness! Is this the first stopwatch we've seen?
Yeah, and it's
on
new
Fight
broken
Night?
stopwatch as well. It lasts for a second less, but it is going to be gold tier, so we're going to be seeing a lot more, I think, because it is just a tier 2 augment.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem like it worked that well on this particular matchup. But if anyone is wondering, Clockworks do get to keep going under stopwatch, and I think that also includes your Clockworks. But we do get elimination anyway, so we won't get to be seeing that particular comp that much. But I do think that augment can be very good in an Enchanter, Clockwork, sniper comp with Jhin. Just look on Keen's Twitter if you are wondering what I'm thinking. But this has now all of a sudden gotten quite close, as Rat hasn't won since we said 100 HP not too long ago.
Yeah, I think it was 4-6, which a Rat lost the first round, and is probably 4 losses in a row. Drewu, though, with this broken stopwatch, we'll see it for subsequent fights as well. The non-Clockwork units, all frozen. But a double Ori, maybe we could have some Ori chain casts or something like that as the Jhin ulti is bumping. Who knows what's going to happen. Darth Nub did fall in 6th. And just one more to go before we do reach our top 4 for the lobby. A-Rat's trying to go back-to-back wins, but needs to stabilize. Does hit the Urgot too. We see a Common Quail hitting Yone 2. Pudix hitting Braum 2. Everyone's hitting their upgrades right now.
Yeah, and Rat, while winning the race, it seems like the pace has increased for the rest of the lobby. We have Exiles here with a tier 2 Yone that's been there for a bit. Jerry now is looking at a little bit of a Protector comp, and we've got a lot of synergies here. Scrap's going to give a little value to individual items. We have not used the Reforger. I don't see why we need to with this particular setup. You don't want to mess with the IE Last Whisper on the Jhin as we get another stopwatch here. What a cool graphic, too. Yeah. As the Jhin does get to the ult. That's how you really want to see it, is you want to get to the ultimates while stopwatch is available, so it gives you an opportunity to get to your secondary ultimates as well, but not enough upfront damage that time, as Jerry does fall, and maybe this augment might not be as strong as some people thought it might be moving into these particular rounds, because a lot of people were pretty hyped about it. It getting into tier 2, but a 5th and a 6th place for it so far in this lobby.
The augment was alright, I think, in that fight. The board was just rather strong that went up against, so a bit unfortunate there. running into a rat who, yeah, look at this board, right? Like that Tahm Kench 2, Urgot 2. Jinx is not yet tier 2, but even this Lysandra, right? She has like some utility items between the Sunfire and the ZZ Rot, but she's still going to be outputting, I think, a lot of value too with her CC. But oh, it's an Akali too, actually, for Puddix. Uh-oh. Oh,
hey,
that's
why
we're
on fire. Yeah. The other thing that we haven't really mentioned is Jinx's AP values actually got higher. But the Akali should be enough, and those items, we finally also see a QSS. That's going to provide attack speed now too, so we're going to get to that first Akali ultimate, which is probably one of the most important initial ultimates in the game for any unit in this set, because Akali absolutely needs a good first one to start ramping up, getting enough of that mark going, and so getting her there faster is always going to be nicer.
Indeed is. Last Whisper is going to be okay for the Jinx. Redemption actually would get value in this board as well. Maybe Rat wants to greed out these components, see what else Tahm Kench can farm. It's not like a Rat is on elimination point, right? Still about 50 HP to work with. Actually exactly 47. Common Quill trying to roll for Yone 3 and finds it. Uh-oh, wait a minute. Yone 3. 8 Challenger, 2 Academy, 1 Yuumi to give some cuddles.
There it is. We have the Yone 3.
Yeah. Wait until, just about 5 seconds. To give people not a lot of time to respond to it. Unfortunate Zeke's value here, because we do have Exile, so not wanting to put that next to anything else. Good Shroud as well.
Quinn. Yep, that's going to be a huge Shroud, so that's going to make it so Tahm Kench doesn't eat Kaisa. Shroud, good item, as the challengers now are starting to get that damage through, and while we did nerf the speed of that comp, it's still going to go quite fast with Yone 3, and we've got a lot of extra damage to go along with it too, as I think that's the Prismatic Knife's Edge, so we even get stronger there for the Yone, and we make a little bit of econ as well. 14 HP for us, and it looks like a potential lobby-winning comp.
Yeah, definitely.
Clapio!
Oh, Clapio. Clapio got nerfed. But it's Clapio still, and he's losing.
There's that Bloodthirster Cho'Gath that's going to make it, not necessarily, just for the AD, but that shield later is going to make this unit tankier. Just kind of look at it as a tank item. Is Vax now going to be the Arcanist that we're using for this particular comp?
Hits Kog'Maw on the last roll. Tier 3 Kog'Maw. Here we go. The trio is rounded out. Tier 3 Malzahar, Cho'Gath, and Kog'Maw. Yukar did tank a ton of HP in stage 3, but now is coming back with a vengeance here.
With a vengeance. This comp can take Common Quail's comp, in my opinion. There's a good amount of damage and a good enough amount of HP to keep that Yone occupied for someone like the Malzahar to get some of that ultimate on him, as it doesn't look like there's a lot of damage going on to these units, even though this Urgot, I think, has gotten through 3 cycles maybe of this ultimate, and especially with this redemption, this is not going to go Urgot's way no matter what.
Nope. Redemption healing is too strong, and yeah, Cho'Gath sees food, Cho'Gath eats food.
Same. Big same.
On a bit of that seafood diet, of course. Can we?
Being from Colorado, I wish I was on a seafood diet.
Oh man, I'm from Boston originally. Yeah, there's a lot of good seafood there.
Yeah, when someone's like, "I found a really good sushi place in Colorado," it's like, "Did you?"
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
From what water are these fish coming from? We're literally a state made for squares. So that's a funny joke. Colorado's for squares. Anyway, 25. For all you geography nerds in the chat, 25 HP and on fire, but we are I'm really looking to see how this is going to go here on this particular round, and how good that Yone is going to be at getting through this Cho'Gath. Yone does get a couple more opportunities to do some damage because of that ultimate, but it looks like the Cho'Gath is not going to be enough this time. A lot of damage coming in from the Kaisa too, but again, too much from the Yone 3, and that wasn't even the real Yone 3. Doesn't even need to stand up, as a Common Quail is looking like a lobby winner here, and we're definitely going to be getting at least 2 eliminations before round 7. we're probably ending this at around 7-1. We do get a mutant spat for ourselves, for someone like the Scion.
Oh, Clapio could go in. Could take out the Mundo. Run another mutant. I mean, yeah, Mundo does give 2 Bruiser for the Cho'Gath. I actually wonder what Yukari wants to do with this. Okay, it is going to be Mundo going out. And also Scion coming out, Jace going in. A lot of gold selling those units. What are we going to roll for? Probably just for that Seraphine upgrade. Probably can't find the Galio. Hoodix here, 4 Scholar, 3 Socialite, all just utility synergies to make sure to buff up the Akali, Boop. And I guess the Galio as well. Galio is going to be that Clapio.
Mm-hmm. But we're on a 3-game loss streak, so the utility doesn't seem to be enough. This might actually give us enough time for the Archangels to stack, but I don't see Akali getting enough damage through onto the Cho'Gath. This might be another one of those situations where everyone except Cho'Gath does fall. The Akali is eventually going to get to the Malzahar, and finally does. Gets about half of that HP down, and the Cho'Gath now needed to get through, I think, a lot more to win this out, and now the Akali has a shot here, especially with the rounds getting a little bit later, and once we hit overtime, the Akali will have a huge advantage.
Yeah, these eats aren't going to be doing enough to one-shot Akali. She's going to be healing back up. With Seraphine, oh no, is not going to heal up back enough. Seraphine obviously can't do this. It's going to be a Cho'Gath win.
Oh my god, the Bloodthirster. That's why it was happening. That's so funny. We got Bloodthirster value, as we have 3 players at single-digit HP right now. 14 HP is in the lead on fire. Still anyone's game. This Akali needs some help otherwise. It's nice that it is an Akali too, but there's not enough damage surrounding it, unfortunately. Yeah. As we remember to feed TK, Sir Thomas in the front line. A lot of frontline units here. Let's see which ones are going to come out on top. I still think the Yone 3 is enough, as we don't have another tier 3-4 cost unit on the board just yet.
I would definitely agree with you, and oh man, Putix does roll into this Yone. I don't think it's going to be enough. Sure, this composition looks cool with the Akali and the Clapio, but he's not going to be clapping for long. Let's see. Akali needs to find her way to the Yone, and some CC needs to come through as well, but it's not going to be enough. It looks like Yone is just tearing through the whole board. Putix ends up falling during the other fight, though. Okay, was
Yukar, the Cho'Gath
going down.
So right. Rat winning like almost one of the perfect games of attrition. Yeah, we might not win the lobby, but getting second after losing like 6 or 7 rounds in a row is pretty impressive. So we have 8 HP, 14 HP, just one more round remains, most likely, between these 2 players. Common Quail, though, in the driver's seat at Kaisa 2 would be nice, and we have so much money that we can even level up and add another unit for the next round.
Yep, it's going to have enough gold to do so. What unit is going to be added? Is it going to just be the Vive for the Enforcer? It looks like yes. Magnetic Remover as well, making sure to be able to choose the Shroud for the last round. Kaisa 2 as well. And I think that's going to seal the deal here for a Common Quail, but maybe a Rat can do something about it.
Mm-hmm. We haven't lost since we hit that Yone 3, it looks like. Yeah. Along with the Yuumi, like you said, the Cuddles are going to be aggressive. So aggressive Cuddle is incoming, and we have some weaker units in the backline just in case, as the Shroud is a good spread for a Rat here, but is going to get some value, especially on the Urgot.
Enforcer value, enforces the Tahm Kench. She's not going to be able to eat for this fight. Does end up eating the Yone, though. That's going to buy a lot of nice time for Arad's team. Wow, this actually could be the tech, the positioning here. Common Quail does go down. Arad found the answer and is going to take another lobby. Arad, what a gamer. That's something. That's truly something special here.
Not just a rat, but a gamer.
Yeah, not just a rat. But a true gamer, a true Rat gamer.
Really good stuff. Again, the same top 2 happened and same result. Quail getting second, I believe, and Rat getting first this time around. And, you know, you think Yone 3 is perfect, but when you're just not on the field and you're kind of a quasi-frontline too, everyone else just felt like they were made out of wet tissue paper there once Tahm Kench ate up that Yone.
Yeah, definitely so. The Yone, I mean, we thought it might be lobby winning, but turns out Tahm Kench he eats, he counters it. And let's take a look at our scores. We did have actually Puddix going third twice in a row as well, but we have a rat going 1-1, having 20 points. Common Quail with 16, Puddix with 14, Jerry Woo with 10, Darth Nub and Ucarve 7 apiece, Tay with 5, and Smurf Squatch with 3. I think that's the first time that we've seen the top 3 going back-to-back same placements, like first, second, third. Pretty sure.
Yeah, and I think this is I think people probably could have guessed this top 3, honestly, based on previous performances here at
that's
Fight
fair.
Night. I think every one of them has won, I believe. So, you know, we thought the playstyles might interact with each other quite well, and we got 3 different comps and 3 of the same results each time. So definitely thinking that the beginning of the alphabet is staying strong with a Common Quail and a rat. But we'll see what happens again. You know, we might get 10-10-1-1. You know, if we can get 10-10, we can still get 1-1 and open this up for everyone else.
Don't think it's likely. A rat's been playing rather well the past few weeks, but anything is possible, especially on a new patch. But it seems like a rat definitely has found some things out about it. But we'll see if a rat's able to keep up the gaming, keep up the first, as we will be right back with more Fight Night Rising brought to you by Wisdom. Don't go anywhere. Back, everyone, to Fight Night Rising, brought to you by Wisdom. 2 more games left to go this evening before we perhaps crown the same champion for 3 weeks in a row, or perhaps a different one. You know, anything can happen in 2 games, but a rat is certainly making a name for himself in the Fight Night Rising community, and certainly looking to keep this momentum moving forward into games 3 and 4. Boop, what have you thought about these past couple of games, and what are you expecting here? Do you think a rat will be able to keep it up?
I think so. There's no reason to doubt, the rat here for a while, unless maybe a piece of pizza comes through. A rat becomes pizza rat and becomes a whole other meme as we go through the convergence. But no, I think the biggest thing here is that I think a rat's really good about not changing things up when they don't need to. I think a lot of people are like, oh, I just won 2 times. I got to try something different or something like that. And I just, play your game, play consistently. It doesn't seem like anyone's really pushing you out of it. So just keep doing what you're doing.
That's true. I do think they did play a couple of different comps, I believe. The Kaisa Bodyguard was the win in the first game, then the Urgot Jinx in game number 2, but still playing these compositions that are centered around these 5-cost units just because a strong early game gets you there, right? A rat has been the only player to, the past couple of games in a row, streak until Krogs, and almost even win streak until Raptors. That last game lost on 4-6 right before Raptors, but still, that's an insane lead. It's like you can't almost not get first place, or at least not get top 2 at that point.
Yeah, and that's what we talk about in terms of like attrition-based comps, right? Comps that don't necessarily win a lobby, but win the early game so hard, right, that there just isn't enough HP for the rest of the people to break into the top 4. Even though you lose 8 or 9 rounds in a row, you're coming from 100 HP versus our 20 HPers who are rock, paper, scissoring at that point, right? So there's a lot that can happen, and we're going to be riding along now with a rat who is going to be starting with the belt. I say this every single time. If you tend to not build tank items, just start with belt. You'll get there eventually, and if you are going to be hard-headed, just put your large rod along with the belt and get your Morellas going. But you have to build that front line. You saw how tanky the top 3 comps were in that last round, so build that front line. Those belts can be very, very valuable. Warmonks is a great item at any point in the game, really. Especially
if we're building some front line like a Cho'Gath. We've seen a couple of Cho'Gath 3s the past couple of games. Not that they have, won lobbies, but still some consistency with them is decent. Erat the past couple of games, I believe, has started with a glove, so this is going to be a bit of a change of pace for Erat. I'm sure, though, we'll still be able to make it work quite well. Samira potential here. Let's see what augment that they're going to go for. We have our Arcanist Heart on guard and makeshift armor. Hey, the TF does come through when you get an Arcanist Heart, and that would make a TF too. There is a belt there, half of Morellos. I'm just saying, Boop. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I think you're saying a lot. Where it looks like makeshift armor is definitely the more flexible augment out of these 3, but if you want to go a certain direction, you are going to get that TF2. You are going to get a potential Arcanist is going to be one of the easier ones to splash in, and we are going to get the Challenger instead. On guard. So these challengers are going to cause it's Mana Reave?
3 seconds
disarm.
Of disarm.
Disarm.
Yeah.
It is disarm for our challengers. So, for example, right now it's the Samira, and we'll see if we actually continue going mercs here, since we did pick up an Alawi, and Quinn is a challenger themselves.
The pre-level gives a pair of Samurai, multiple Samiras. No other challengers, though, right now. A couple of Enforcers and Bruisers between the Vi, Alawi, and Caitlyn. Makes for a decent board, though, so not too unhappy about that result. A Common Quail, a couple Innovators, a couple Scraps, levels up to play a Camille 1. Interesting. Not necessarily the greatest board to level up for.
I think the really intense thing now is just how little Innovators we see actually completed early on. I mean, we were seeing bears at round 2-2 back in the day, meaning literally 2 days ago.
Yeah, back in the day, so long ago.
But Quail is going to lose out on this first round by a lot. 4 units. 92 means that you get wiped by 4 units. The 94 means that you get wiped by the 3. So Seems like if you're losing by everyone right now, except for Yukar, who only loses by 2 units. And now we have that separation already starting here for that first carousel.
Yep, Common Quail going to be on the lower end, of course. Checks to see what the Socialite Hex is going to be, and it is front line towards the left side. We also do have info that Mutant is the Voidborn, so it's going to be the Execute at 3. And at 5, it is going to be that true damage that comes through. We've had Mutant compositions the past couple of games, which makes you think that there's probably going to be another one. We'll have to see, though.
All right. Blitzcrank does get that CC going. Ezreal seems to be pretty popular still here in the early game. Really nice DPS. It doesn't seem like he does a lot of damage. Again, that's like a 48 damage crit, but has some of the highest attack speed that you can find in the early game.
Yeah.
Really good at buttering up units for things like this Heimerdinger to finish off with their ult, like you see just there.
There we go. Common Quail goes from a loss to a win, and it's going to be at the expense of Yukar's HP, 88 HP for them, and Tay down at the bottom there. A couple of games where, Tay has not had the best results, but hey, after halftime, he just got to shake it off, be like, it's all right. We can still get some top 4s, maybe break it into the top 4 overall in the night, because it's not really that difficult to get there, right? I think all of the points are kind of centered around the top 3 players, because they've gotten top 3 2 times in a row. Even if you're not invited back for next week, still a nice chunk of change is what these players are competing for. The win condition for that is still very much there. Only 5 points to go for Tay to get to 4th, and 7 for Smurf Squatch. So they're both still kind of in it if they can get a couple of games back to back.
Again, a little bit of help at the top side of the leaderboard would be nice too, but this Ionic Spark on the Poppy, seems like a lot of people itemizing the Poppy right now as kind of the early bodyguard frontline, and the Yordles will take the win here. Sure. As Tay, I think, started Yordles last game and got 7th. We'll see if we're going to get a little bit more value this time around from that comp.
Yeah, hopefully going to get a bit more value. Yordles are nice to run in the early game if you do have them. It's not necessarily great if you do go, loss, win, and sure, that's not happening right now for Tay. It's loss into a win. So if Tay can win the next 2 rounds, that would be fantastic, right? We have extra units on the board with the target dummies, and we do have an Ionic Spark Slam, which is great for the Poppy. Bodyguard is there to make her even tankier. Tay has some stuff to really work with here. Another Heimerdinger. But nothing really great to level up for. Sure, you can play Arcanist with a Swain. That would be alright.
Okay, I mean, again, these Cho'Gaths are popping up really early, and it seems like people seem to be committing to it. The Mutant is Voidborn, it looks like, so we'll see if that's going to affect some of these Mutant comps. As you said, these Mutant comps are kind of popping up here at on a lot of these lobbies on the ladder as well.
Oh yeah, definitely are. Here as well, IE slam on a Ziggs. All right, sure, let's go for it. That is a commit one way or another. Sure, it doesn't have to
Still
be
misses the ult.
Yeah, I mean, Ziggs is just not a carry, right? He's so inconsistent. It is crazy. Ziggs is probably one of the more frustrating units in set 6 if you're trying to put your faith in him. At least the Heimer cleans up one more unit.
I'm always going to use this. Putting your faith in Ziggs is like putting your faith in Shaq at the free throw line, right? Like, Shaq hit, I think, 50 to 60% of free throws, but it felt like he missed most of them.
I know,
right?
It's really a coin flip, though. Like,
yeah. So in Ziggs, it's the same thing. I put Zyra there as well. Sometimes it's just like even more frustrating to see people casually walk out of like a huge ult like Zyra's, for example. But I think that's actually some really good internalized balance there for the Ziggs, because if it had 100% accuracy, it might be a little too strong. But now we're looking over at Rat, who is win streaking again, going into this PvE round. We'll see if he's going to be able to do it, as this is a 100 versus 100 matchup. The Quinn gets a huge ultimate onto the Urgot in the back line, and that might be the difference maker.
I actually think if Darthnub slammed these items, maybe could have been a win there. Runans is perfect for an Urgot, which Darthnub already has. There is Nico's help to get an early Urgot too. because it's not even just like Darth Nova preserving their own streak, right? They would be taking out a Rat's win streak, which has led them getting first place 2 times in a row that last game. Definitely would have considered that if I was Darth Nub, but maybe thought that they wouldn't be strong enough either way. Hard to say.
Okay. So now that things are starting to shape up here, we're seeing these comps start to solidify themselves. For example, seeing the Urgot here means that we're definitely moving into a Chemtech direction. We have challengers to support right now. Everyone, tier 1. So if we were going to... That was probably going to be the last round we could win, most likely, if nothing changes into the next round. As Rat will do the trifecta, being perfect to Krugs. 3 lobbies in a row.
That's crazy.
As Yukar's sitting at 68 HP, wondering what they're running. As we actually have a different version of Jerry Wu here, who likes to tank and then seem to climb back up, but this time seems to be getting a little bit of a stronger start. And a tier 4 unit this early with a Nikos is actually super strong. Say we, 2% into an Urgot, slam that, we get a Urgot 2 at round 3-2, 3-3 potentially.
Oh yeah, that would be huge actually if that does come through that way. Also, players are way more likely, it looks like, to slam a Frozen Heart with those recent changes. I mean, it's so good, even just in the early game, right? Slowing the attack speed of enemies means that their ults are going to be slower. It means, of course, the damage they're outputting, just their autos are going to be slower. It does give more mana to that frontliner and more armor. Not quite good enough here to take the win. But I think Darth Nub is okay with that, going for a couple losses back to back.
I completely agree. The goal is to lose there, is we're moving over to Smurf Squanch. I feel like it has to be said that way. I don't know why.
Yeah,
Smurf Squanch. I don't know what it is. Maybe maybe it is, a particular cartoon. On a particular I think that actually might be it, but to avoid legality,
I see.
We'll avoid saying the name of it, but Smurf Squanch, oh, that totally is it. It is gonna be sitting at 76 HP. We're doing a little bit of moving around and not a lot of adjusting. We got a lot of synergies. Too bad we don't have Stand United, I think is what it's called.
Yeah,
but because that is a very good augment right now. And the Ziggs is airball again. The opposing Ziggs is going to get a little bit of value, so 2 out of the 3 ults at least help out. And that's going to be a pretty big loss for Puddix, who needs to finish in the top 4 to stay on track with the top 2 here, and Rat seems to be doing just that.
Hey, Puddix did get, 3rd past couple of games. Needs to still maintain that. We do have tier 2 augments coming through. The newly buffed Stand United. And a lot of synergies to work with here, but doesn't go for it, actually. Goes for the Scholar, and with that, gets a Heimerdinger too. I think that's a nice identification of what's going to make this board the strongest right now. And it is going to... complement the win streak. If we can get to a 5, win streak before the stage is over, a lot of econ going back in Smurf Squatch's favor.
Every single unit here benefits from mana so drastically compared to a lot of other units. Say there's a Leona, for example, on this board, not going to benefit as well as literally any other unit on this board, even the Scarab. So that's going to be very helpful. We have the ability to help with some CC. The blue buff is going to make the machine gun Heimerdinger possible here. There is a build for Heimerdinger that makes it so he actually doesn't auto attack and ults every single auto attack. So that could be a possibility, but we'll see if that's going to maintain its course here, especially since blue buff has become a lot more flexible during the set.
Yeah, it definitely has. I think the changes make it a lot nicer, and yeah, we're seeing kind of the power of it here. Heimerdinger, doesn't get another cast off, but it's going to be okay. 3v1. Kog'Maw, no items from Tay, cannot get the job done. Both players actually having a Scholar heart there. Interesting. Yeah, everyone's getting educated out here.
A lot of education happening on the Convergence.
Who would do
right
that?
now.
Just kidding, stay in school.
I hope they help with banking and currency. Like, I hope more schools do more around the world. But Smurf Squatch now, it was looking a little precarious. We have a lot of synergies to help our units get even stronger. Good tier 2. I think that tier 2 Heimerdinger was a huge game changer. And we only need one more scholar to get that quad scholar, and we might get offered that time stop, the clock. The clockwork augment here for the third augment if we potentially are going to continue going that way, especially since we have an extra clockwork. We are definitely going to be grabbing an Oriana here, it looks like. So we'll see, because we have a good AP build at the ready on our bench right now.
Yeah, that is very true. We could have potential Jewel Gauntlet, could have Archangels as well. That was the other option, and does go with that one. So much mana already to start on this Heimerdinger. Instant casts. Feels good. Vex 2 now as well for the front line. Big upgrade as well. And yeah, we have more Cho'Gath, Spoop. Here it is. Jerry Woo going for these mutants. They're looking real strong right now already.
Yeah, super strong already, and I'm glad we're seeing these. I'm glad we're seeing these scholars showing up. This was something I think a lot of people assumed we'd see based on some of that patch note, and the Heimerdinger is going to maintain that power differential and only get stronger with the Archangels plus that mana. As Jerry Woo sitting in second place, it's funny. Usually when you see someone in second place, you're like, oh, they must be doing well. But for Jerry, I'm not quite sure if I want to see you in second place right now, especially since you played so well. Playing some of these re-rolly tanking kind of compositions.
Yeah,
this is going to be another Cho'Gath comp, which is top forward every single time we've seen it. Let's see if it's going to be able to do it again.
Yeah, I think this is still leaning into a kind of Jerry Woo style. I guess honestly it's probably fortunate that Jerry Woo didn't tank as much in the early game, because they're gonna have more opportunity to do that right now when they're finding their Cho'Gaths and Malzahars to get them to the tier 3s, right? Wanting to be using gold, just rolling down to 50 each turn, and that's about it. Jerry Woo has already kind of hit all the necessary breakpoints for the mid game as well, hitting the Cho 2, hitting the Malz 2. The items could be a bit better. Titans and the Cho'Gath is decent, not perfect, and we really need some Malzahar items as well to get his damage on the field.
Okay, so you know, and you need friends, right? Even in low places. That's a Futurama reference. Mutants live underground. Anyway, the Malzahar is so important to set up stacks for the Cho'Gath and vice versa, right? Cho'Gath might weaken you up enough, so Malzahar is going to be able to double cast onto somebody because the cast is still going on the unit that falls because of that ultimate. So Jerry now sitting at second place, 24 HP, 14 HP above third place right now. So we got a couple rounds to go, as Rat is going to make it to the Wolves on a 100 win streak.
How does Rat do it every single time? I mean, is a Rat just, you know, it's one of three things, right? Good at playing the early game, a better caliber player than a lot of these players, which, I mean, we have some strong players in here, so I don't know. But also just kind of high rolling or getting a bit lucky in the early game. Might be a combination of the three, might be one or two of them. Either way, Rat certainly continues to impress. I mean, I feel like we keep, or at least I keep giving praises, but I think they are justified and very, very fairly given.
If I've ever seen a comp with an identity crisis, it's this one. Unfortunately, we've got a lot of synergies, but not a lot of damage. We have, IE Last Whisper Hodge again for the Jhin here. We potentially could have waited for a sword, but we decide to go with the Hodge. This Heimerdinger not decked out like the last one, and while this looks like a little bit of a hodgepodge comp, we should win at 36 HP. If Yukar's not pushing for the win here, you're losing, but you're losing by a lot more than you might have originally done it, especially since all of our kind of carry units here are still tier 1 and we have low gold. We need to hit these rolls.
Yeah, I think this is a hodgepodge of some nice units, though, because there is Stand United for Yukar, so wants to play a lot of different synergies, has 7 on the side there, so that's going to be 21, I believe, right? It's going to be more than that because it was buffed, so it is going to be 28 AD and AP for the whole team, if my math is correct, but it very well might not be, so I should avoid doing math in the future. Either way, though, we're going to have a decent board. Still really needs to get the Braum 2 and the Jin 2 online.
Yeah, the Jin 2 is almost required. I don't know if we're going to be able to steal many more wins into the late round 4s. This Seraphine is going to take at least 1 extra unit down. So instead of 3, it's going to be instead of the 4, it's going to be the 3. Yuumi doing a little bit of cuddling right now for Jin. But yeah, we finally went 2 in a row, and now the HP totals are starting to link up across the board. Rat loses this round, so no 100 HP win just yet, and the attrition not really as high as some of the other rounds have been. Jerry losing 2 as, you know, 2nd to 7th, you know, could still be anyone's game. Yeah, Tay's at 26 HP, but playing a comp that already kind of gives away HP early on, but we did get contested URL, so yeah, we'll see what happened to Tay later on, especially since we've had a little to no success on that comp for the last 2 lobbies so far.
Yeah, I mean, still sticking with similar strategies. Is going to be tanking low HP. They just need to get part 2 of that down, which goes to the stabilization point. A very important part of the process, though, but it looks like Common Quail has done a nice job of stabilizing with this Samira too. This is a very, very nice board. If she can now res from the GA and get through the Jin, which she does, but still a couple more units revive. Yuumi 1v2, don't think she'll be able to do it. The cat not quite powerful enough, doesn't even get the ult off. Yukar drops the streak, or the potential streak at least, as we do get into our stage 4 carousel. Akali and Kaisa on the field here. Both are taken instantaneously. All right.
Okay.
Tay grabbing the Akali. I wonder if Tay can make an Akali pivot work. Looking at this board, maybe. A solid maybe is how far I'm willing to go on that one, but it's not looking great.
No, it's not, unfortunately. I love seeing newer players come in and absolutely dominating, but we're going to put in our syndicates, i.e. on the Akali, just waiting a little bit. We're going to go a little bit of the Katarina direction with that. Ionic Spark has actually found its way onto a lot of assassins because of the synergy there. The assassins get into the back line, the opponent's ult, and then they become weaker to that unit specifically, as this could have been an okay build for someone like Cat, but we see another GA as well. Akali 2 is a possibility now. We might have only 1 round, though, to get there. We might not even make it to the Augment as a Scholar Emblem. Sorry, Crest makes it a little late. Thieves Glove's roll is actually pretty good for the Shaco, especially with the Runins. The Seraphine is going to help out too. This looks like we're going to get a win here after a lot of movement on that round, but did I speak too soon, friends?
Maybe,
did I speak too soon?
Maybe not. It's real close either way. Seraphine ulti is going to take out the Mals, but the 1v1 certainly is going to go Syra's way. I mean, Tay is still alive, and honestly, I don't think that round was that bad for Tay. Tay hit some decent things, popped the Thieves Gloves off of the Akali. Still needs to roll to hit the Akali too. Ooh, Syndicate Crest. Actually, gets a Zyra, gets Syndicate Emblem. That would be 5 Syndicate. If we take out things like Blitzcrank, you can take out Seraphine as well. And it would be giving 4 Scholar.
Yeah, I think 4 Scholar is the pick there, because something that happens there all the time is your gut tells you something, and then you kind of want to give the game respect to think about the other things, and you kind of just get lost in thought, right?
Yeah.
And that's what the definition of overthinking is. So sometimes the one that makes the most sense is the one that you pick. Occam's razor is what it's called, right? I know a lot of people like me, when they get sick, you think you have some type of 1% disease that no one has ever heard about. You go to the doctor, and they're like, you have acid reflux. You know, and you're like, okay. But what Tay needs to do is we got to get to those Scholars, because that's going to help the whole team. We do get a nice Syndicate Hex for an Assassin, but we still only have that Akali 1 who got a pretty nice buff. So this might be good enough. Going up against a Challenger squad, an Imperial squad, it might be okay as well. 7 loss streak, though, and we don't have any more to go.
Yeah, no more room for defeat here, but it's okay. The synergies are good. 4 Scholar, 5 Syndicate. Akali's surviving, and so is the Shaco, able to take out a Common Quail in that round. Tay has stabilized, but how far is it going to go? Tay has a lot of a lot further to go, right, before they can even get into the top 4, and they need to do so for this game, right, because they're coming off of a couple of bot 4s. This one needs to be probably the biggest comeback of Tay's tournament life here.
Yeah, maybe even, you know, some of his TFT life in terms of comebacks that they've ever been able to pull off. Might be pretty rough, but we've seen it happen before at single-digit HP, especially in a lobby like this where Rat has seemed to lose. Jerry is going to win streak through a lot of this portion, especially if we get to that Cho'Gath 3. Not sure if we were able to hit it just yet, but at 69 and 82, that's a pretty big separation from everyone else, as Smurf Squatch sitting at 3rd needs a good result as well, as the same can be said about them and Tay.
Yep. Now we're looking at Putix trying to make a level 8 board work out. Does find a Tark too. Goes in for 3rd Enchanter. Given a Socialite Hex as well. And here we go. The Akali is found, and so now the pivot begins. 3rd Socialite wants to come online as well, but not going to be here quite yet. Blue buff probably finds his way onto the Akali, right? Oh no, it's going to be a Hodge instead. Alright. Blue buff makes his way onto the Zyra.
Okay.
And this Akali one is not strong enough, it looks like.
Unfortunately not.
No.
Too much HP. I mean, Galio 2 as well. That's going to be tough to get through, as Yukar does lose in the single-digit HP, now in 8th place. Jerry continues to win, so definitely one of the strongest comps in the game. This looks like a battle for 3rd right now that Rat is actually a part of, in my opinion, based on where we are HP-wise. Smurfspot's getting that Seraphine 2 means some good utility all around. Pretty good unit. I think not quite where it needs to be kind of like a naked carry.
Yeah.
With first aid can be really, really good.
Sure.
But that comp has struggled with damage in the past, but we do get that Socialite Hex bonus. This time going to be on the Realm. Where are the rest of these going to go? It's going to be the Rageblade and the Scholar Crest on Seraphine, and we do need one more Syndicate as well.
Another Cho'Gath 3 happens here for Jerry Wu. And Jerry Wu's been on a win streak here for a kind of a long time now. It is nice for Putix to be able to get that Yuumi in there to CC the whole board, gives Akali a bit more time, but I don't know if Akali can get through this Cho'Gath. In fact, I'm pretty confident she cannot. Just going to be a slow bleed out here for Putix.
It's going to be how much we lose by as opposed to if we lose.
Yeah.
And especially now that we have Execute too, it's that Yuumi trying so hard. Gotta give it an A for effort, right? Throwing toothpicks is hard, friends.
It really is. Oh, Heimer 3 coming online for Smurf Squatch, as we do unfortunately see Uikar go in 8th and Tay, while they've dodged 8th, 7th is not much better there. Only getting a couple points on that one. But we're going to be seeing some more eliminations soon, I think. Although Smurf Squatch, Heimer 3 could be putting a bit of a stop to that. We do have 4 Scholars, 4 Arcanists, and a Victor frontlined. He does have GA, and he is in that Socialite Hex, so maybe he can get a cast off? Question mark?
Yeah, you know, this is how you played Ahri back in the day, if you
True.
remember.
Yeah.
You just frontlined her with GA. That's like what happened. Actually, I was wondering when this was gonna be attempted, if at all, because of how much mana Victor uses. But if he gets shrouded on the front line, that's gonna be
that's kind of doomed.
But we do end up winning out on that one, and it does work out. And we probably move him back if we hit tier 2. As that's the fastest little river sprite you've ever did see.
Oh, yeah.
That's a 5th Syndicate for Putix.
Ooh. Okay. Interesting. Smurf Squatch looked like grabbed a Hextech Gunblade for Heimerdinger. Gonna be giving him some good healing, as well as, you know, some more AP. Is on a Shaco, so it's 3 gold. It needs every single bit of gold that he can get right now to find these upgrades. Is one off of a Vex 3, but needs to sell one here if he's going to get the Victor too.
We have a round. We have a round.
I mean, unless it's a really bad loss, and Smurf Squatch does not want to risk it right now, it looks like.
We might get a free one anyway.
Yeah.
Right, so it might just pop up.
Sure.
Wait another round. Vex 3 is not like that game-changing It's not going to be as game-changing as something like a Victor 2.
Exactly.
This is where the frontline Victor can make or break it here. If it was positioned on the other side, I'd be a little bit more concerned. Actually, we would have already got to an ult probably.
Yeah.
If we were on the other side, we might get 2 ults here with the Victor, which we will, thank goodness, because of the Seraphine Arcanist, and we're gonna get a little bit of extra time too because of the GA. Man, the thing about this Cho'Gath that is starting to scare me is the fact that we've seen 3 different itemizations of it, but 3 very successful versions as well.
Is it time to nerf Cho'Gath, or the cries already out there? You know, Reddit, on Twitter, where between that more, dog?
You never know. There could be a B patch, but
yeah.
As of right now, I feel like tanks are probably the easiest countered type of units because we're not seeing any Last Whispers. We see one right here. Not a ton of Giant Slayers outside of some of our backline units. So we'll see if those items land on these kind of high impact assassins that we're seeing a little bit more of. But nothing really able to take anything through that Cho'Gath. I'm not even sure a Giant Slayer would even be enough.
Kali too.
That's huge.
Yeah, the Nico help at the last second, giving a Kali some much needed upgrades. GA, IE, and Quicksilver. Sash, also very, very good. She can't get CC'd, so she can guaranteed get that damage out for at least the beginning of the fight.
Seraphine's doing full heals. It's just like a slower version of a Tarek, and the ult from the Victor isn't going to be enough. A little bit too much movement from the Akali, and Smurf Squatch gonna lose out there. If Quail didn't get that Akali too, that probably is a different result. Smurf Squatch goes into 5th place, Rat at 64, Jerry 56, so we actually did lose out a little earlier. Darth Nub seems to be having a pretty good comp as well.
Looks like Jerry Wu won the round against a Rat there in that last fight, but not by that many units. Common Quail does have the trade sector, of course, so free rerolls every single turn. Looking to find a couple upgrades. Syndicate 3 Socialite. 3 Socialite is so good for Akali. She utilizes every single one of the buffs super well. The healing from Socialite 3, necessary if she doesn't have any healing on her items, which she doesn't here. The mana regeneration as well is very nice for her to keep chaining those casts. And the extra damage, right? It's just gonna all fit super well together. I love this tech, and that's why Akali has risen in popularity so much already in this patch.
Yeah, I think Akali is definitely the unit a lot of people have kind of taken some of their ire out on. It didn't seem like the biggest change in the world, but tier 1 changes to units tend to be some of the most impactful kind of changes because it's the raw damage, right? You're just gonna get 50 damage. For example, some changes don't get any changes in tier 1, right? So this particular change is always gonna help out, as Darth Nub is going to be running the Last Whisper Runins Titans version of Yone, and it seems like the IE Runins Hodge version is going to be enough, as it's going to be Tank Fiora here. I mean, we have true damage, so why not, really?
I feel like just about any time we're able to get the 8 Challenger online, no matter what items the Yone has, as long as he has some form of, you know, like AD on there, he's going to be doing rather well. A lot of damage here. Darth Nub. Oh yeah, Darth Nub has the 8 Challengers, right? The other board does not. Let's see where these items go. Warmogs. Is it going to be a Challenger Warmogs for Snart Tom Catch?
Well, remember, Tom was able to beat a Yone 3 pretty much.
That is true.
A little earlier today. Common Quail could talk to us about that, as Jerry and Rat only 1 HP away from each other. Quail and Darth Nub need some help here, as now we're starting to find enough damage for things like the Cho'Gath, especially once we get to single target, and that is a lot of damage going through immediately. Too quick. These challengers seem to be the way to get through a lot of these mutants, but that's a lot of ultimate going through on the Kaisen as the Cho'Gath moves out from underneath the time frame. It doesn't look like this is going to be enough.
Wow. Yeah, we can see Cho'Gath's HP bar. We're like, oh, is he getting low? I'm not sure. He's just
gotta be, right?
He's too big. But no, he's regenerating. Redemption on this unit is absolutely busted. And he's going to be taking out Darth Nub. A Common Quail drops in 4th. Darth Nub in 3rd. And look who's back in the top 2, Boop. It's going to be a Rat yet again with 50 gold even. Still rolling, still trying to find some tier 3 units. 3 Fioras away and is still rolling. Here we go.
I'm going to say it since it's guaranteed that Rat will compete for the record of all-time high score, which is held by Marcel P at 37 points. Even a second place here will keep us ahead of that pace. We would just need to finish in first for the last lobby, but we'll get there when we get there. Is this 1v1 should take us all the way to around 7-1, 7-2, depending on how this Cho'Gath does. And it seems like this Cho'Gath does quite well, especially with the Giant Slayer, Hextech, Blue Buff, Malzahar in that back line. I mean, it has so much HP, it actually looks like the total is completely black. in Cho'Gath's bar here. It's not empty, it's actually the opposite. It's really full.
Yeah.
As we hopefully get a Giant Slayer on this round or something that's going to help us break through, and it doesn't look like we actually got anything of the sort.
Nope, no Giant Slayers here. What do? You go for some tier 3 units perhaps, and it still might not be enough. Because what? Leveling up here doesn't actually do much for a Rat, and so I think he's correctly identifying that and is going for tier 3s instead. It is a low chance, I think, to hit them at this point. Fiora 3 would be okay, and he's only 2 away from that, but she doesn't have the best items, right? She does have Frozen Heart, Redemption, Warmugs, just tanky items. A Kaisa 2 would be okay, but then again, still might not even be enough. And not even the Fiora is going to come through this round at least. But a Rat still has a couple more rounds of losses to go. It's not do or die quite yet, but this is probably still once again going to go Jerry Woo's way. And yeah, we got the zoom in here. I think a Rat knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, unfortunately for Rat, this seems like it's a done deal. However, you never know. We're going to get to our PvE round, as this Cho'Gath only seems to win by 1 unit each time.
Yep.
So we're just going to get base damage a lot of the time. So we might get a little bit of a change here. We could get to Fiora 3. We could start two-stirring some of these 5-cost units that we're taking away. But unfortunately, that's the other thing for Jerry's comp, is it's not very expensive. You got to get that tier 3 Cho'Gath, but since you're taking spots away, running that comp, 2 of those spots are left empty. You're not spending those on units, so you can spend those on rolls. You can get the tier 3 unit Malzahar a little bit quicker that way, potentially, as well. So you don't need bodies, you just need the rolls there. And while the bodies aren't expensive, the items need to really be there, particularly for that front line, unless you're Cho'Gath 3, which, again, it seems like you kind of do whatever you want at that point. Redemption seems to be very, very, very good on Cho'Gath, though.
Definitely super good. And the Enforcer can't stop the Cho'Gath either. He's going to be immune to that CC, so it went on the Malzahar instead. Stopping Malzahar for a couple seconds, you know, that's all well, that's fine, but not going to be doing enough. Even that's a worse loss in the past few rounds, with some changes being made. 1 Fiora away from Fiora 3. And I actually don't think a Rat needed to roll down that early. They could have waited until after this round to do so. Let's find a Kaisa 2. That is nice.
Yeah, but is this kind of just like a consolation prize? Like, just say that we have had it? Especially since across the convergence, you know, on Jerry Woo's board, it's pretty much like a 5-star kitchen with the amount of spat items that we have over there too. A lot of mutant crests. Sorry, man, that one's getting me.
Well, I think they're still called emblems. It's just that the what's it called? The augments are called crests now. Augments are called crests, but the emblems are still emblems. I do believe.
Yes. Yeah. All right, we get another tier 2 5-cost unit, so that's actually really big. We get a little bit more frontline presence to give our Kaisa a little bit more time.
Trying really hard, even selling the Camille to get one more roll and putting a replacement Camille in there, but yeah, it's not going to be enough. Jerry Woo just has to put the final nail in the coffin for a Rat and take out the first place king. It's going to be a mutant Chemtech Seraphine. That is the only time I've seen those specific synergies
like a Galio. Yeah, we
Oh,
got
man.
Arcanist, Chemtech. I mean, spatulas everywhere. And it might turn into a little bit of a golden spatula at the end of this round as Jerry is looking on tap to win this out. And it looks like Cho'Gath is receiving negative damage because of the bruiser augment there, where he's going to be regenerating health. So there just isn't enough damage in the game. I don't think that Cho'Gath loses in any world, even with the Last Whisper and a Giant Slayer onto the board. But we enter our last lobby with someone on a record-setting pace. If A-Rat wins this next lobby, he will be the top point getter ever for Fight Night.
That is quite high stakes here, Boop. Even if he wins anyway, having the opportunity to break the literal record of, I don't even know how many fight nights there have been. I probably should know that, but it's been going on for multiple years at this point. That would be absolutely insane to break the record. Let's go ahead and look at the scores to set the stakes for our final game. A Rat at 28 points has a 6-point lead over a Common Quail, an 8-point lead over Jerry Woo, who with that win has 20 points, Footex with 17, Darthnub at 14, Yukar with 8, and Tay and Smurf Squatch both with 7. A Rat still could lose this lobby, lose this tournament with a poor placement, so consistency needs to happen. If they get at least a 4th here, they will clinch the win. The Common Quail, though, and Jerry Woo have to be looking to play... I don't want to say they have to be looking to play first race style, because if I were in their positions, I would just be looking, okay, let me just secure a top 4, and then make sure I just come back for next week, right? Like, it's probably a fool's errand to try to overtake a Rat at this point.
I mean, I of course want to see a record get broken. You know, you don't really ever see those happen ever again. Like, I don't think, for example, Robin Songs is, what was it, 1-1,
1-1, 5-1-1, 5-1-1.
Yeah, like I don't think that's ever happening again.
Yeah.
Right. Those are like very unique experiences, and 36 for Sleet lasted from set 3 to like set 5.5. For example. So these things don't really change all that often, and Rat has been playing really well. And if you were like, hey, there's someone who's gonna, before we got today, hey, someone's gonna break the record today in Fight Night, who's it gonna be? I think we both probably would have picked them. So we'll see if that's gonna come into fruition. But also there's it's never guaranteed second or third either, because the 4th lobby seems to be the hardest to consistently do well on, especially since this is also a lobby where someone in 7th and 8th place will finish in the top 2. It's just how it happens.
Yeah, that is true. Although players the past few weeks, Boop, have not succumbed to the 8th game curse, or the 4th game curse, excuse me, by going 8th. They've actually, looking at the past, it was NYU Gaming who did finish out round 4 strong in the past couple weeks. A Rat has had top 4s in the previous game, so maybe we're, or in the last game, so maybe we're kind of saying goodbye to that one. I don't know, maybe the curse is fading, Boop. The players have learned how to counter it, as we do get into game number 4.
Here we go. This is going to be it for us after this lobby. We will have a winner. Is it going to be Rat with the record, or is it going to be Rat without the record? Or is it going to be someone completely different? We're already starting with some mutants here for this opening carousel for somebody. But Jerry Woo, our last lobby winner, was able to get the Cho'Gaths, who seem to be uncontested every time we see it. Cho'Gath has gotten second, first, I believe, in these lobbies, or second, first. But it is a guaranteed top 2, it seems like, if we get Cho'Gath 3.
Yeah, the first lobby was the Kaisa Bodyguard win. The second lobby was Urgot Jinx.
That's
Jerry
right,
Woo.
Cho'Gath 2.
Yeah.
Yep, that is correct.
Yeah.
So it has gotten top 2, I believe, in all 3 lobbies so far, getting the first win on the last one. So, I mean, if you're someone who just needs to finish in the top 3 to make it into top 3, Cho'Gath might be a really nice direction for you, especially since, again, it seems like one person is doing it, but no one else seems to be contesting.
No one else does seem to be contesting, which is interesting. I mean, I don't know. It does seem fairly consistent, and maybe it's just players not being super familiar with that strategy. Honestly, Enchanter Soul for Jerry Woo here, the Enchanters aren't going to have that much value right now, but the extra 8 gold at the beginning has a lot of value. And the Enchanters will scale super well into the late game. Like, this is why these Soul picks were kind of redesigned this way. It is going to be, however, not quite appealing enough to be picked over the item grab bag for 2 free items, which, by the way, are very good items. Infinity Edge and Redemption are probably some of the 2 best ones that you could ask for. So Jerry Wu, definitely happy about that one.
You know, and I hopefully there's a little bit of good luck when it comes to the fact that you don't have the Reforger. Maybe the items that pop out are going to be more like this, because it's the second time we've seen that. But we already have an IE Last Whisper here for the Ezreal, and Jerry should be feeling great about where we're at right now. We can definitely make it to Krugs without losing. We already have a tier 2 unit, a 3 cost unit, 2 of them even, in a couple different openings. The thing about Tarek that's really nice is he doesn't lock you into anything, he just kind of gives. Yeah. Right? He gives you, all he does is take a space and gives you health and fashion.
Definitely. And there was actually a small play that Jerry Wu did right there, which I really like. Some players would have just like, oh, seen a pair of Singe, so picked it up. But Jerry Wu says that I'm going to level up and my board's probably going to be strong enough to where I will win and then get that 1 gold to purchase the Singe I need for the pair. So shout outs to him for that one. It's the little things that really make a player show their skill. As we move over to a Rat who has a pretty good early game. Talon definitely kills units very, very well, especially if given enough time, like this Darius with Warmogs will give. Talon's going to end up cleaning up pretty much everything.
Yeah, we haven't really seen any Imperial comps so far today. We saw 1, I believe, with a Samira and I think a top sword. But we've seen a lot of 8 Challenger, not a really ton of 4 Academy, because I think that was like specifically changed in that last patch to be a little bit better and a little bit more consistent. The Yone seems to be performing all right. Yone 3, of course, doing a little bit better, but not getting kicked to the curb at all when it comes to that unit. But in this early game, you know, we already have that separation, right? That first round can do a lot for the first carousel, especially for people like Darth Num and a Common Quail. Say they win the next 2 rounds, they still might pick second based on getting wiped on that first round. So we'll see what happens here, as that first item round is going to be pretty big, especially for someone like Rat here, who is on record-breaking pace, or anyone else who might compete for the top 3.
Now is a Rat going to go? Oh, wait a minute. The win streak is on the line. Oh, TF1 auto. A Rat keeps it. It keeps the win streak until Krugs for 4 games in a row. Dream alive. We almost saw it fall right there. But with the Blitzcrank upgrade that we see on the right-hand side, maybe a Rat can do it yet again.
Maybe.
That'd be crazy. 4 games in a row. Streaking until Krugs? Like what?
I think the only other person we've ever really seen, 2 other people when they were at Fight Night at the same exact time, were Hobos and Numano, who I think were pretty well known.
Oh yeah.
For that, was it Hobos? Definitely. If we streaked to Krugs, we won. If we didn't, we got 7th. Wasn't that how that went?
Yeah. And then it was Numano's being like, I'm just gonna streak and then win anyway because I'm streaking to Krugs
with like awful team comps somehow.
Yeah.
And it was a little frustrating actually how well Numano did with bad team comps. He had like a 7th place comp get second once, and I'll never forget it.
Oh yeah, it was that crazy game. We had about it. He was like, I don't know how I got bailed out of that one.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
even he was like, I don't know what happened.
It's like, I didn't deserve that game, but sure, we'll take it.
We take those. You know, a win's a win. When Riot's like, you get second, you got second. There's nothing that'll take that away from you.
Yeah.
As a Common Quail is getting some HP taken away, but we are guaranteed that first pick on the carousel. 92 HP would have been second pick. So that's a little funny there, but Darth Nub and Quail will be first pick.
A Rat loses a round in stage 2 for the first time tonight. It's all over. 4th game curse. It's coming back.
Yeah, that record's not going anywhere, Freds. Or maybe not. You know, maybe the pressure's off. You can't go 4 for 4 on going the Krugs undefeated. That's that's a lot more rare than it should have been today.
Yeah, definitely so. Jerry Wu, though, is in first with 100. Ends up taking the cloak. A Rat grabs a bow. Common Quail is pretty low here. Not great units on the board. Not great unit quality, really, either. Oh, actually has, what is it? Wise spending? Every time you reroll, you put 2 XP. I've actually never taken this augment personally. But
it's the prismatic version too, so this is good for anyone who likes playing reroll, or this is actually a really good augment to get if you're just learning how to play. and you
You
just
like
happen to
pressing
be
the reroll
rerolling
button.
a lot, so you're gonna get some free value out of that. It's not as good as March of Progress, but is definitely gonna save you some money. Again, this might be a situation where we roll super hard, we get some tier 3 one cost units and see where that takes us, but
Yeah.
we'll see where this goes because we haven't really seen it all that often, as the prismatic augments all seem to be pretty. There seems to be a large variety so far that we're seeing on the board.
Definitely. This actually might be a bit of a hot take, but I actually think that wise spending changes how you play TFT fundamentally about as much as Built Different does, because the early game I think you need to play completely differently, and it might not change how you play the late game as differently as Built Different, but it still does add some interesting nuances that you have never really explored before, right? Because it could be maybe I roll more on level 7 and it will naturally push me level 8 and get really strong at that point. It could be the same thing going from 8 to 9. It's really interesting, I think. So I have to check in to see what, I think the Common Quail had that, what a Common Quail was able to do with it a bit later. But for now, seeing what Jerry Wu is able to do when it comes to maintaining this streak, and if they are able to do so, but it's not looking likely right now, and definitely not right now. Smurf Squatch puts an end to it.
All right, so no one streaking into Krugs this round. Smurf Squatch doing the best that they could, as Jerry Wu now with this switch up. That's a big hit when it comes to the Gen. Ezreal has those items already, but we are going to lose Innovator through it. So
yeah,
just wait till next round and level up.
Not really worth, it looks like right now. If it was an Ezreal 1, I actually think it would be worth it to swap over the Jhin, even if you lose the Innovator. But Ezreal 2, probably outputting enough damage. Definitely the Jhin could be a good swap for later, if it's not sold for economy here. Hopefully Jerry gets some more gold here, does not, so has to make the decision. And, okay, chooses to keep the Jhins, it looks like.
Yep, gonna take the econ on the chin here
no.
for thank you for Jerry Wu. Let's see if we're gonna keep it in. If we get a second gen, we're definitely gonna be putting him in, but we're gonna just at least think about it now. Not selling the Ezreal means we haven't made the decision specifically just yet. We actually may have gotten weaker by doing this.
Yeah.
Because you're not just taking Ezreal out, you're also taking the Scarab out. You're losing 2 units as the Camille goes in for the Jhin later. Like, the Jin's gonna make it onto this board. It's just win, because 3-1's really early, and if you are lost streaking, that might have been okay, but it doesn't seem like we're, like, purposely lost streaking right now. And if we are, we want to make sure that we lose streak by just a little bit. But these Innovator comps usually do quite well at the early game, but a lot of damage has already been done here against it.
Definitely. I actually think Jerry Wu is doing his utmost to make sure that this is the strongest board possible. Really being like, is the Jhin worth it here? Is the Misfortune worth it? Or do I want to play Clockwork instead? Did decide for Clockwork. It's not going to be good enough though, but it will be not a bad loss versus Putix. Only by 3 units, maybe 2 somehow if the Zillion Bomb can... No, okay, it's not going to be the case. Jerry Wu loses yet again. Putix though, 50 gold. It did take, what is it, Band of Thieves? A couple of Thieves gloves here for the front line. Definitely not bad.
Yeah, that's something, again, we haven't really seen these augments all that often. Band of Thieves is kind of like the worst version of the Ornn item, I feel like. I'd rather get one Ornn item than a couple Thieves gloves. But this is going to be really, really helpful. Zac does a good amount of damage, and it's always surprising when it happens, I feel like. And this Bloodthirster is kind of like a GA where it helps you get to that ultimate because of that shield. Looks like we're hovering over the Yone to potentially bring him in. And let's see if the CC is going to be as impactful as it can be. The Zac does bring some people into vulnerability, but the Warmogs on the Darius is definitely helping out, at least take through a couple units. That could have been a 5-0 loss, but Rat is actually going to take the L there against Putix.
Yeah, Rat losing a couple times here in the early game, as we do get to our second augment choice. Makeshift armor, not great because we have 2 Thieves gloves here, so it's Celestial Blessing. Probably, I mean, Celestial Blessing 1, I don't know, it's not great, but neither is just 1 Socialite. So take Celestial Blessing, finds an upgrade. Not bad. Certainly going to be good to keep the streak going. Trundle was nerfed actually as well. We didn't really talk about that. Trundle is, or at least was super oppressive. He is going to be, I think, what was it? His chomp, like the amount of AD it steals is going to be lower, as well as the attack speed slow is lower, I think. So some well-deserved nerfs here for Trundle.
Well-deserved nerfs. Trundle always finds his way into some nerfs. I'll never forget a Trundle 1 beating like a tier 3 unit.
Two tier 3 units, actually. From Kiting's, from Kiting's clip there. That was the famous one. It was like, there's no way. There's no way.
I remember us casting it for the first time, and we were like, uh-oh. Sometimes you just see it immediately. And unfortunately, I think with units like Trundle, their value gets underappreciated because they don't have like the fanciest ult in the world like you see Echoes here. Or like Lyssandra's, but it was very, very good, as you're seeing a lot of damage go through here. This might be the most effective Rage Blade you've ever seen on an Alawi, along with the QSS, so we actually got a good amount of attack speed, and she is going to do it.
Yeah.
There it is. Alawi carries there. Smurf Squatch actually loses that round, and Putix will be the only one on fire because of it.
There you go. Putix on fire, 94 HP, tied for first with Smurf Squatch. We do get into our stage 3 carousel. Bruiser couple scrap. There is a spatula here, but spatulas are definitely not as highly prioritized as they have been in previous sets, and it just kind of has been that way for all of set 6, minus a couple times where like Academy Emblem was just a win for a Yone comp pretty early on. Not the case though, as we move on over to Darth Nub, grabs a belt and has 5 Innovator. Innovator Heart or Crest, I suppose, cannot come through in the first augment choice, but it can for the second augment choice, which is why we see it here.
Okay. Oof, man, especially starting with Prismatic makes the late game a lot more interesting, as we do get some bear energy here in the front line. That bear can hit you hard once we get to that ultimate, but we've also got Yordles to help us print some economy. The scrap is actually nice as well. And we're going to keep this Ezreal going too with Darth Nub. Ezreal's sticking around as we have the reroll protector comp on the other side. The Garen is going to be the Garen 3, and it's going to be Ezreal versus Garen at the end of the day here, and it's going to be the Garen. It might seem like, maybe not.
Wow.
It's not going to be the Garen. Really good timing on the Heimerdinger ult there, as Tage is not having a good day right now. That could go either way, actually, depending on if that Heimerdinger was on a second or third ult, but unfortunately the timing didn't work out.
Timing not quite working out there, but it's very interesting to see, I think, because that Garen nerf certainly, I think, coming into play a little bit there. It was a very slight nerf, but might have made the difference. 5 Innovators proven why they are strong. Tay not going for Yordles this time around. Instead, this game, of course, as we just saw, going for the Protector reroll. And has already hit 2 key units, right? Caitlyn 3, I believe it was, and the Garen 3. So not going to really be bench locked when it comes to fighting those other ones. Pretty nice for later on, especially once that Kog'Maw 3 comes online. For now, Darth Nub versus Putix. Darth Nub is level 7.
Level 7, but has a pretty good team comp at the ready. This Ezreal is going to be hitting hard for a bit. It's sticking around a lot longer than you might anticipate, as this is the most valuable Alawi I've ever seen in my life.
It's even kills
we're actually going to get down to 1 unit because of it.
That's crazy. These Alawis, man. Always a sleeper unit. She's probably just in there for a bruiser, for synergies, for mercenary as well, but nah, she packs a punch sometimes.
I actually really like the way her ult works, which is the more damage your team does to that unit, the more you get healed.
Yeah.
Which I think is like a cool concept. Could be a whole synergy in my opinion. But
definitely.
We're going to go into Wolves here at 50 gold for Darth Nub. A Comet Quail is going to be the one on fire. This is a much more evenly spread out board. Smurf Squatch, we saw that loss against Putix. Hasn't lost since then. That must be really frustrating economy-wise for Smurf Squatch. Could have really extended that lead, as we're going over to Jerry, who's getting some good tank itemization. We might throw that Morello's onto the Scion as well. It's going to be Redemption too, i.e. Last Whisper. We saw this Jhin get picked up at round 2-5, I think, and I do not know how long this has been on, but it's lost since we've switched it in.
Yeah, actually is weaker. I mean, really needs the Jhin 2 to come online Jerry will probably level up. I would assume it's actually at 4-5. If Jerry levels up at 4-2, probably will not have enough gold to roll into the Gen 2 and for tier 2 frontline. If it's going to be, it's probably not going to be Scion. It's probably going to move to be a couple of bodyguards. But Weak Spot is here, which does give a bit of anti-heal, I guess. But Last Whisper is already going to be more armor shred than is needed. Jin is going to be doing a bit of damage, and Scion does get the slam off. This could be, even if it is a loss, only by a couple units, which is very, very nice for Jerry right now. Let's see, can Jin kill any more? Might actually win if he gets another shot off, but no, not able to do so.
If you get another shot off, it seems like sometimes Jin is moving in slow motion when it comes to getting some of these ultimates off. But, you know, it can work out, but it's just one of those units we got to get that Gen 2 on. As we get our Colossi in, we have Scion in now. We're going to get some good defense on it. Bramble, Redemption, Gargoyle Stoneplate, pretty good separation there. We're going to do the Trap Claw, not the Morellos. And we're going to save the large rod.
All right, saving the rod for later. Not really going to be a great Jin item, no matter what it is. Arguably, Rageblade might be worth it, but, you know, probably not. Scion does get a nice smash off here. And this is just a tier 1 Misfortune carry here for Smurf Squatch, but still at 94 HP on top. I wonder how this composition got to this point. Maybe the Urgot was enough of a pseudo carry, but no, it's going to fall to Jerry Woo, turning that one around. And Jerry Woo, of course, did go level 8 at 4-2, but, you know, like I mentioned, not a lot of gold, so has not hit any pairs yet.
Smurf Squatch did lose a lot of HP there, and is only 3 HP away from Puddix now, who they've been kind of facing each other. And this HP total here is pretty gnarly for the bottom side of the leaderboard for this point in the game. I don't think we really hit these totals until like 5-2, 5-3 on the last like 3 lobbies, but 4 of our players now under 50 HP, and even first place at this point is usually a little bit further ahead, but that is not the case. Probably the more even lobby of the 4 so far today. This one gets that win. Are we going to get another one? We do bail out of the Blitzcrank hook because of the Trap Claw. Trap Claw means that you can put whoever you want in the corner pretty much, as that is the most beautiful Bramble I've seen in a while as well. So that's going to be 4 seconds, and that's going to be 3 seconds to start, 2 seconds, and then we get a buff on the tier 2 version of that Scion stun, and we get another win here.
Arat is dangerously low. 32 HP is definitely lower than we're used to seeing Arat at this point in the game. Stage 4 Carousel, it was Akali and Kai'Sa last time around. Now it is Akali and Yuumi. Akali does have a great item on her, though, and might be taken immediately, and a Common Quail goes for it. It's just like you see Akali, you take Akali, has been the story of Stage 4 Carousels, it seemed, for the bottom 2 players.
I totally agree, because Akali is a good top 4 unit so far. We haven't seen it win a lobby so far, and Cho'Gath has absolutely destroyed it every single time we've seen it so far.
Oh yeah.
It almost looks like it's impossible to beat the Cho'Gath as the Akali, even with the Akali too, even with double Archangels like late in the game in overtime. Wasn't enough. Maybe it was because of the built better in the HP regeneration, but we've seen Akali go 0 for 3 so far against Cho'Gath comps in top 2 and top 3s.
Yeah. I think that'll usually happen, especially the Bramble, right? If Akali has IE or if she has Assassins, right? Crits are just not really going to be there. And a Common Quail hits Akali 2 on level 7 with the help of Aniko's help. And yeah, Akali 2 pretty good, especially for this point in the game. Stage 4. Maybe that can bail a Common Quail out. We could certainly see this comp go from 8th to a top 4 at least.
Yuumi, what were you doing, my friend? Yuumi was about to hit a stun on the Akali and then just turned around. That
Check
was
the PayPal.
little...
Check the PayPal. Yuumi.
Yeah, that was a little lucky there. But that is going to be a win for a Common Quail and another Prismatic Emblem. Woodland Enforcer Stand United. Stand United is actually not a bad choice here. 5, 10, 15, 20. That's 20 extra AD and AP. Force of Soul might be it just for a little bit of extra CC. All of these are like mid-tier choices, really. Woodland Charm could be a nice little extra tank, but we don't really need a tank because the idea is that we're going to do enough damage to the back line of the opposing team, but we are going to do it anyway. More tankiness is always going to be valuable. Another body might feed ultimate, but for this version, a Kali might actually get duplicated, so we'll see here.
Yeah, don't
Braum probably.
HP, yeah,
maybe?
it's either Braum.
Yeah.
It's probably Braum. I would think in this case.
Hey, put a Morello's on that Akali. It could be Akali.
Morello's Akali. That's the cursed tech from Boopasaurus.
Yeah, just to get the woodland track. That's a woodland tech there, my friends.
Oh, true. There we go.
Don't listen.
And this is why, Boop, you love experimenting.
Yep, it's true. It's true.
Love it.
Oh, nice Zillion ult,
Wow.
actually. That was a pretty beautiful Zillion ult into the Orianna ult. Not a lot of damage going on into that Akali, the GA helping out there with a little bit of that defense. And this is a comp that Akali should be almost every single time, especially this early in the game. Having an Akali 2 at any point during stage 4 is very, very nice, as this should even up the HP totals just in general across the board now that we have this here.
Yeah, it's looking like it. No one is decisively in the lead right now. Actually, Smurf Squatch earlier was in a big lead because they did have a couple of built different augments. They built different 3 and 1, which I did miss earlier. Apologies for that. But a Rat there is kind of the biggest outlier we do have this game, being at 10 HP, very low at Raptors. Even potentially, if they got a little bit less lucky, could have been out by now. But 10 HP, you know, 1 HP is all you need, so 10 certainly is a lot more than 1. Rat could come back.
Rat could come back. The poet and didn't even know it.
Yeah.
But the overarching theme here is that we haven't seen a Cho'Gath yet. So we might be seeing a little bit more variety. We have some Chemtechs here. We got Bruisers as well. A 6th Bruiser might be the way to go. We have Exiles, Prismatic, Celestial Blessing, and the Thief's Gloves Augment. So we've got the items that we need, and it's actually the only items that we really have in the front line so far, saving a lot of the components for damage-based units or carries that we're actually going to be utilizing, as that Urgot 2 is a nice little upgrade. This 3 loss streak might be ending here soon.
Yeah, these are some big upgrades from Putix. That Mundo, the Urgot, even putting the Warwick in for 5 Chemtech, kind of almost everything came together pretty perfectly there. Sure, the Echo is going to not give any synergies at this point. He's just there for an item carrier. Hopefully moving those items over a bit later. It's gonna be enough. I mean, this Kaisa still on the board, or actually is newly on the board from Smurf Squatch. We're built different if you're running that one. Kaisa is a fantastic carry to work with in the late game. And yeah, it did a lot of damage to Putix there.
Who's going to end up taking this? These team comps are starting to really start ramping up. We have another tier 2/5 cost unit now for Darth Nub, and that was the Victor, as we have a second tier 2 Urgot from Yukar. Tay now getting a little bit of help, as Rat actually gets 8th place, and the curse prevails.
It strikes. It does indeed, Boop. I was talking about, has the curse been defeated? But no, it is not, which opens up a lot of interesting scenarios. I think potentially both the Common Quail and Jerry Woo can now contest first place. Jerry Woo needs a first to do it, but they did get a first last game, so it's definitely possible, definitely on the table. We shall see. This game is certainly way more interesting.
Man, that was arguably the worst Victor ult I've ever seen. We've seen some really good ults.
What did it
hit? Nothing. I think I saw 1 laser hit a unit that time around, and that's just a little bit of a low roll there. Double redemption roll on the Thief's Gloves. Appreciate it, folks. You're never really going to see that again. However, if AoE damage is coming through, it's going to be absolutely neutered because of that redemption. That's one of those like hidden abilities, like Gianna healing the whole board. Redemption is it takes damage away from AoE abilities.
We do see a dragon. Well. Yeah, I was gonna say it's not every day we see a dragon on the board, but I'm glad we get to see it from Darth Nub. Is level 9 as well. Took level up, can even push level 10 later on. And Jin's such a good carry to complement with Innovator. Yeah.
So we can get 11 units.
This is absolutely massive. Not just the dragon, but just the whole board in general, right? It's a Victor 2, Heimer 2. I mean, Heimer 2 is, I guess, not that great, but Jin 2. Wow, narrowly taking out Uicard there.
Yeah, Jinx took out 1 unit on the ult, and that was enough to survive. this particular round. So, hey, you know, at least we took ourselves out of that matchup. Unfortunately, we've got 2 other people with very strong comps.
Yeah.
And this is what happens in the late game with 2 prismatic augments on the board, as we do get some spatula items, at least 1 Imperial, and a couple really good, actually, this is a pretty nice carousel.
Has some nice items. The emblem being Imperial, not really the best. Both players wanted Shojin there, but a common quill grabs it, leaving Darth Nub, it looks like, with the Zeke's Herald. Still a nice pick. It's going to be buffing the Jin up and might even swap positioning so it gets the value on the Victor as well, I would imagine. A couple of Tom Kenches is interesting, but probably can't fit it in unless we go level 10.
Yeah, and at this point, if you can't fit in something with a potential 11 units on the board, then that's on you.
Yeah.
But this is going to be brutal comp to go up against. Even this Akali is going to have a little bit of a hard time against something like this Dragon, especially after the Dragon CCs literally everybody. We're going to put it in the front line. No one important is really going to get hooked here. It's going to be the Zillion, who's probably just going to get some CC to start, and that CC from the Dragon happens now, and the Akali. We have some snipers. We have some Seraphine going on as well. We're going to need a potential other ult from the Dragon, but we're not going to get it. And this Scion is going to help bring Jerry Wu to the W here, as Darth Nub actually loses out on that round.
Yeah. We're gonna have the actually the Rageblade Jin being a bit better than the Rune Ends here for Darth Nub, but yeah, a lot of that did come through with Scion CC. Need to consider moving the Jin out of that Socialite Hex a bit later on. I think this happens, you know, again and again. We see players get baited with positioning, wanting to get that 20% extra damage when it's just not worth it. But I think Darth Nub's gonna recognize it after what happened in that last round.
Yeah, we had someone win because they switched someone out of the Socialite Hex,
exactly.
right? Yep, and it was just one switch makes that positioning diff. And the roles now for our front line, GA is going to be really nice for that Mundo, but all eyes are on this Dragon to CC as many people as possible. A lot of that front line already taken down. Jin actually whiffs one of the ults. Here's that Victor ult, and this one finding purchase.
Big.
As Jinx this time not going to be doing as much as, you know, some previous iterations might be doing, as Putix is going to lose. Look how close this lobby has become.
It has. Uakar did drop out in 5th, so we're almost going to be at our top 4 here. Common Quail still in a fight versus Jerry Wu, it looks like, but Jerry Wu is on a win streak, but that doesn't remain. Common Quail does beat it. We're still, again, looking at either a Common Quail or Jerry Wu to upset a Rat here. And again, needs a win for Jerry Wu. A Common Quail. A 3rd would tie, we go to tiebreakers. A 2nd or better would win it.
Man, to win against someone who is on record-setting pace coming into this game is probably a very good feeling. Unfortunately, like we said, that 4th lobby curse did strike 8th place for Rat. Could not be worse for them, as this PvE round will bring us into 6-1 at the lowest HP totals we've seen so far today going into the stage.
Common Quail, level 9, Akali 2, 3 Socialite, 3 Syndicate. This board is very nice, and we got here with wise spending. I like that. We could go for Akali 3 as well, but yeah, probably not going to grab that one. Would be still 3 Akalis away. Looking for Gallios, looking for Brahms, looking for Yumis, but not finding any of them.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit before we see an Akali 3 probably. Where's this Chemtech emblem going to go? Galio will get that Woodland Charm. We're definitely going to get 2 knockups here. Look at all of that's a lot of pixels, friends. As it's the trampoline park right now. Onto the Convergence. The Victor ult is going to land, and it's going to be the IE Last Whisper Runins doing most of the work, but the Akali is hard to hit.
No.
But not hard enough. Top 4, though, for Common Quail. Putix finishing right after that in 5th. Woo. You know, is it going to be Jerry Boo-hoo, or is it going to be Jerry Woo-hoo in first place here later on?
We'll see. Jerry Wu is now the only player that can contest the win. Darth Nub is still going to be going for that top 4, maybe even top 3 potentially. Smurf Squatch just kind of playing for some honor here as they were in 8th place coming into this game.
It happens every single time, Khroen.
I know.
Not every single time, like 85% of the time.
A large percentage.
Yeah, 7th or 8th place will end up in the top 3 or 2 in game 4. But yeah, the Seraphine 2 is not going to help with a lot of healing, but we do have a Clapio in the back line. We've got the IE Last Whisper, Runins. I mean, is that Nocturne or is that Calio?
Right? It's like he's an assassin jumping to the back line. Not going to be able to contest the Kaisa. Darth Up goes out. And so does Jerry Woo. We have a double kill. It's going to be Smurf Squatch playing the double built different to a victory. That is the power of a built different board. And that's going to be a wrap on the night, Boop. We're going to have our scores calculated so we can see exactly, confirm the win here. But wow, what an abrupt ending that game was.
I was about to say, I counted, that was 5 rounds earlier than any other lobby ended today.
Yeah.
So that had a really fast click, and that's what happens, I think, when Rat goes out so early. It kind of opened up. It almost felt like the rest of the lobby had more oxygen to breathe. Right, going throughout, everyone was a little bit more empowered, I think, to reach for the stars, and we got to see Clapio, so I'm always happy about that.
They get to see a Clapio, and then we did get to see it get clapped subsequently after. It was an upgrade from the Jin, but Clapio still did get clapped, and I think these changes in the previous patch was to make Galio fit his more traditional role, which is going to be a frontline tank, right? His health went up, his attack damage went down, his claps were too powerful. And yeah, he was dealt with. But we got to see what this new patch has in store. We got to see kind of the rise of Akali, or at least see that confirmed. And then I think we also got to see the power of challengers as well. They were doing rather well all throughout today.
Yeah.
We got confirmation as well, or got Jinx comps doing well, and there was that kind of that random Kaisa bodyguard win. But hey, you can scrounge together an awkward composition and still get a dub with it.
And so we are looking at these scores too, especially since things really got tight at the end. We're probably going through some tiebreakers, most likely. We're not the ones that are good at math. No. It is everyone else around us who will end up taking the Mathley Award for us today, as we do have our scores ready to go.
Here we go. It is still going to be a Rat taking the victory. 29 points. Really making it close there with that 8th place in game number 4. But hey, if you get first, second, you have a bit of wiggle room, right? And that's exactly what happened. Even though
used all of it.
Oh yeah, used literally all of it. That's crazy. Common Quail top 4 in every single game, but still it wasn't quite enough. Props to Common Quail for getting second. And Jerry Woo, actually very impressive for, I think that's the first time we've seen Jerry Woo here. If I'm not mistaken, but certainly did very well, especially in the latter half of the day.
Yeah, Rat crushed it for the first 3 lobbies, and Jerry was Jerry and Quail were the 2 most consistent players throughout all day today. You got second, fourth there, and Jerry really coming alive in the second half, especially with that Cho'Gath matchup to win for round 3. We aren't going to get an interview from Rat, maybe one day, but today is not going to be one of those days.
A Rat winning for 3 weeks in a row. Next week will be their 5th week coming back in a row. And we got to start talking about it. They could be getting up there to break one of those records, even if they weren't able to break a score record. Could see that come through next week. Just week after week, different patches. A Rat's been able to impress. So I'm definitely excited to see them and what they're able to do. Next time we see them, because then the patch will be a bit more formulated, maybe a bit more solved, as some players like to say. But yeah, that'll be it. So final thoughts in the day, Boop, before we close this out.
Yeah, so Rat is kind of taking that same kind of a direction as people like Pocky, I feel like did like 3 seasons ago, right? Like I think like we're definitely getting to the point where Rat's not just going to be about fight night anymore, right? I think we're getting to the point where we should be talking about some of these qualifiers a lot more than maybe in the past, because we're playing good, and this patch, particularly maybe this set, might be what's bringing us over the finish line, and that's just fine, right?
Yeah.
This might be our opportunity, and I'm really happy to see that they're really pushing for it right now. I'm seeing a lot of potential. I'm seeing a lot of possibility for a rat, not just here but elsewhere as well. Maybe he's
Definitely.
even really good at double up. We don't know.
Potentially. I'm seeing it in chat. Arad saying, maybe one day Kappa for the interview. Man, we just wanna pick your brain, see the perspective, get into the mind of a champion. I'll have to wait a bit longer for the possibility. But yeah, I think this fight night was great when it comes to not only learning about this patch, but learning about these players, the consistency they're able to bring, like a rat, and these new players rising up, like I think we saw with Jerry Wu being able to get top 3 in the lobby. I'm gonna say as stacked as this one, because I think it was a pretty stacked lobby. Is impressive. So I'm really excited to see Jerry Wu next week. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think the top 3, I can probably say the same thing for all 3 of them. I think Quail, for example, if he can get back onto a 3rd week, that's like his big wall right now. And seeing Jerry, we'll see what happens in the next couple weeks. I think there's a world where we see these same 3 players for a good amount of time. I think they all have the possibilities of being able to do it.
Yeah, potentially so. But that'll do it for us here at Fight Night Rising, brought to you by Wisdom. We've had a great tournament today, and hopefully we have one again next week. I'm sure we will. This has been Khroen and Boop, signing off. Take care, and have a good night.